But there's no both sides anymore. They're just trying to wreck our goddamn country. It's time for you younger guys to take over it.
You were meant to be here tonight. This is your time. Their time is done. It's over. Screw them. This is your time. Now go out there and take it.
If you guys don't start thinking as men, we're gonna have a lousy country.
For the crimes of incitement to cause unrest, I declare to be an outlaw!
All right, it is the Outlaw Radio Network for the 20th of August, 2023. Thanks for checking out the show. Ask me about my feet pics.
Kevin, what about your feet pics?
What about my feet pics?
Where's Kiki?
Yeah, where's Kiki? No, we want Kevin's feet pics.
Yeah, nobody wants my feet pics. I have a rule about my feet. Like, I might be in a long-term relationship, getting married, hitched, spending the rest of my life with someone, and they will still not be allowed to see my feet. Like, they can see the rest of me.
See them?
You should talk right in the microphone.
You're like one of...
No, you just got to be closer.
I hate this microphone.
No, it works. We can hear you. It's just when it's not very good from more than a couple inches away.
That's what she said. So you're one of those people that has sex with shoes on or socks on. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah. But I sleep with my socks on. I wear socks for everything. Everything I do, I have socks on.
You sleep with your socks on?
Yeah, we've talked about that on the show before, haven't we?
Not since I've been here.
Time off.
Hold on. You guys were all listen, this is called radio, so here's the way this works. People talk one person at a time, and then somebody else jumps in. So Boss Baby was giving me crap for sleeping with my socks on. What did you say, Lori?
How do you do that?
When do your feet get like some fresh air?
When I shower. Bob Ross?
That's not enough time.
I was asking, so you have, shower socks too? Or?
No, I change my socks every single day.
And we appreciate
that.
And
but I can't go barefoot. I hate going barefoot. I mean, I can, but I hate it. I hate going barefoot. I hate walking around barefoot in the house. I hate walking around outside barefoot. I just hate it. Don't ask me why. When I sleep, I have to wear socks because I hate the feel of my toes, like the toenails, like scratching up against the bottom sheet. It's just no.
You don't overheat that way?
Go ahead.
Oh, I overheat, and the best way for me to vent is like take my socks off.
Mm-hmm.
No, I just strip down. I wear nothing but socks, and I cool off just fine.
Do you wear 3 socks?
No.
Wait, so on your cruise, you wore tennis shoes? You didn't even wear sandals? Flip-flops?
The only time I was shoeless on the cruise is when I swim.
Oh, so you don't wear swim shoes?
I don't wear swim shoes. No, swim shoes are stupid. Okay. No, when I swim in I'll bare feet swim.
So socks and sandals?
I don't wear sandals.
Oh, well,
I hate sandals and I hate flip-flops.
What's wrong with sandals, man?
I just don't like them. Because sandals show my feet. No. And I do not like showing my feet.
It's just a foot.
I understand that. I don't ask me to explain this. I don't know where this came from. It wasn't like I was abused by somebody with a flip flop in my young early years. I don't have it in me. I got no interest. Whatever.
So
say in your younger years they called those thongs.
Yeah, thong.
I have met a human with a foot fetish.
Have you?
Yeah. And I cannot talk about it on air.
Okay. Well, don't forget our show is brought to you by Foot Picks by Kiki. Remember, Foot Picks by Kiki is available for all of your Christmas and holiday shopping needs. Are you looking for some foot picks to slip into your special someone's stocking? Maybe you want pictures of feet in stockings. I don't know, but Foot Picks by Kiki can help you out. Look for the Facebook group, Foot Picks by Kiki. K-Dog, Black Tom, Lori the CEO, Boss Baby, Bob Ross, DJ Deer's here somewhere, and I don't know where Paul is. So we're just going to carry on the show without him. Paul's not here, and we can talk about it behind his back. And
what is that? Who's that?
The AM listeners have no idea what you're talking about. What's up, buddy?
Nice middle finger there, Paul.
Do I get to talk? Well, I figured it was appropriate considering Kevin was acting like I didn't even exist, but that's okay. It's all fair. All's fair tonight, Kevin. All is fair.
Ooh, all?
Hey, all is fair?
All is fair.
In love and war. Good morning, Pablo. Nope. How are you, buddy?
I've had better days, but
how's the cranium?
I'm here.
Do you want to tell the listeners why you're not in
still
studio?
Attached. Yeah, I'll tell. I don't know. I don't mind telling it all, man. I'm still trying to remember most of what happened. I was clearing low-hanging branches. For those that know how cedar trees grow, the branches grow like down and then they make like a fishhook shaped J and come up to the bottom.
Mhm.
And so I had my ladder about 15 feet up as I was cutting off the limbs. You don't want, your horse's eyeballs are about 6 feet high and shit. So you don't want anybody, you don't want the horses. No, I'm talking about horse poop. Horse
Doesn't
poop.
matter. You can't say that word. Reset.
And
Reset the counter.
anyway,
I want a broadcast with no pants on. Could you help make that happen, please?
No, don't. Just keep
ahead, Paul.
messing.
the ladies that we
have
work
a
in
bet.
radio with,
Yeah.
they paid me
We did.
to make
It's-
sure that
that's
never
accurate.
occurs.
Paul, ask about my feet pics.
I like how the heart is strategically placed right between the feet.
I know. It's awesome. Go ahead, Paul.
Right. So anyway, so I had my ladder about 15 feet up, and well, it's funny how trees are round and ladders aren't there. and anyway, so I cut a branch off, and it was much bigger than it looked. And so when the branch fell, it caught the ladder and pulled the ladder, and hence I went with it from about 15 feet. So, well, I thought I was until I had a headache that kept getting worse and worse all day. And then my wife took a look at my eyeballs and my pupils, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, you have a concussion." So, yeah, all day just kept getting worse and worse. I felt like I had a worse hangover this morning. That's kind of how it started. And I was like, well, I didn't drink nothing. So,
Oh, that's where my hangover went.
right. Yeah. Lucky you, because it sucked. Yeah. And I'm hyped up on caffeine right now, and ibuprofen and Tylenol, and it's about halfway gone. So I'm just thrilled that it's halfway gone. So we're good to go. But I didn't want to drive it. I didn't want to drive at night because
stay hydrated.
Yeah, it definitely. Oh yeah, I got my ice water is right here. A little bit of vodka. No, I'm just kidding. There's no vodka. But,
hey, Paul. So since you hit your head, are you more likely or less likely to vote for Biden?
Actually, since I hit my head, just to show you how screwed up it is, I actually had liberal thoughts today. Yeah. For a moment, I even asked myself if I was a progressive and didn't know it. So clearly, it messed me up something fierce.
Good news, Paul. Good news.
I was reading the report on Hunter Biden's lawyers and how they threatened to put President Biden on the stand if they didn't get what they wanted, and I was just kind of like, well, that makes sense. I can understand why you would do that. I mean, you've got the president's son, you're defending him against tax evasion charges, and your response to the Department of Justice is, hey, if you don't cut our guy a deal or make the charges go away, we're gonna put the president on the stand. I don't know. I don't get it, man. It makes no sense to me whatsoever, but that's why I didn't complete law school.
Listen, I'm totally cool with press coverage of what's going on with Trump and the classified documents case and the attempted overthrow of the elections case and all that stuff. Like, I'm totally cool with media coverage of that. But why is the media coverage so disparate between the two? Like, if you log into most media outlets, most mainstream media outlets, it is Trump this, Trump that, Trump this, Trump that, Trump this, Trump that, Orange man good, Orange man bad, blah, 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 blah. And this whole thing with Hunter Biden is an afterthought and barely talked about.
Does that surprise you?
Kind of.
I mean, you're talking about a guy in Joe Biden that did his schedule wasn't open until 10 a.m. every day, and it was closed by 1 in the afternoon, right? Mm-hmm. He ran for president from his mom's basement like he was a Bernie Sanders supporter. The dude did not. I mean, he went out and campaigned at events where he'd have 20 people there sitting with little circles with lines drawn in the grass, and they were all like 12 feet apart so they couldn't catch COVID. I mean, it was the craziest, most surreal thing I ever see. Donald Trump's got 1,000 people, at a small town Iowa barnstorming event, and Joe Biden's in downtown Washington, D.C. with 7. I mean, the whole thing, and the press ran shotgun for him the whole time, man, and made him look like he was the second coming of Mahatma Gandhi. So, I mean, and we've discussed this many times in this sense. We know that the big tell from the media is going to be when they start turning on Joe a little bit. We're going to know that's when people are throwing in the towel, right? And I don't think we're seeing that yet, not by any stretch of the imagination.
Isn't the Biden support very similar to what we see with Democrats kind of en masse, right? I mean, we've talked on this show before that I don't see millions and millions of people lined up for a Jay Inslee rally.
Oh, for
and yet
God's sake, it just blew my brains out.
And yet when it comes time for people to vote, they vote hand over fist for Jay Inslee, even though nobody seems really excited about doing it. I mean, is it just a Democrat thing? Like, we're going to vote for them. They're milquetoast. We're kind of lame and boring. We're not really excited. This guy's not Obama. We're just going to vote for him. But there's no pomp and circumstance behind the fact that they're supporting him.
I'm going to throw this out there because I know we all have different opinions about this. But the more further removed we get from the 2020 election, and when you look at things that have happened over the last 10, 15 years in elections in Washington State, and we look at the reporting that was done about the homeless folks and the voting down in Olympia and in Bremerton, we look at the report in the movie done about the mules who were running with what movie was that? The 2000 Mules,
2000
whatever
Mules.
it was.
Yeah.
And now we see the reports coming out of Minnesota from I think it was GBI. Was that the name of the organization?
Yeah,
Tom?
it was Michigan.
Yeah,
it was GBI Industries.
Yeah, and we see the fake ballots. Or I'm sorry, not the fake ballot, but the fake registrations and stuff that they're running with tens of thousands of them there. It legitimately makes me think that there's a lot more to this cheating on a much bigger scale, and I don't mean bigger scale like nationwide, right? I mean, like I think it's more frequent than any of us realized on a small local level. But that's all it takes, right?
Go
ahead, Tom. Sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say, if you look at some of the dates about the GBI stuff, it goes back farther. Pardon me, it goes back farther than I think any of us really anticipated. I mean, GBI founded in like 2014.
Yeah. And we've heard there have been rumors by whistleblowers within the Democratic organization that for some time they have had individuals within the Democratic Party that will go from state to state, and especially in states where it's mail-in voting, and they've got, we'll call it just tricks of the trade, right, to help people get elected. Now, whatever those tricks of the trade are, I'm sure that changes from location to location. But you notice how we've never had issues adjudicated from the 2020 election, like the 4 women who sent everybody home from the Georgia Dome, but stayed there and kept counting votes while there was a water leak. Yeah. That's never been adjudicated. Nobody's ever come out and said, oh, by the way, that video is X, Y, or Z. It's fake, or this is the justification for it, or these 4 intrepid vote getters stayed behind to keep voting in the name of the presidency. And we had these issues going on concurrently between Pennsylvania, Georgia, and there was, I think it was either Michigan or Wisconsin, where there were issues where the folks that were the volunteers, the vote observing volunteers were not allowed in. And so when we went to bed, Trump looked like the victory was assured. And when we woke up, all of a sudden he was down by 150,000 votes. It was just, and again, could it have all been legit? Yeah, we've acknowledged that, right? But the further that we are going along and the further that we're seeing things happen and the further we're seeing the corruption, right? Look at the corruption. We just talked about it. If you put our client on the stand, we're gonna bring the president of the United States. We're gonna put him on the stand. Oh well, we can't have that happen, right? So that means we got to make these charges against Hunter go away, right? Or the fact that entire case was going away and was getting swept under the rug until what happened? Until 2 IRS whistleblowers came forward. It was at that exact moment in time when Weiss suddenly said, oh crap, I have to actually make some charges stick here because they're going to come out and talk about the meetings that we had. So I was not a proponent of the aspect of raising the red flag and saying, I think there's a lot of cheating going on because I didn't see the evidence. Without the evidence, I just felt, it just made me a conspiracy theory, right? It made me Alex Jones, part deux. But now we're seeing more and more evidence come out. I mean, Kevin, you were here, and you and I were on radio when we watched Sharma Sawan and her recall election, and she got her ass handed to her, and then magically, mysteriously, thousands of votes showed up with just her name on it.
Look, it was the vote fairy, and they left extra votes next to our teeth from the tooth fairy under our pillow.
Right? Can we think about how many times we've seen that happen? Go all the way back to a gubernatorial race in the state of Washington, with a Secretary of State we all said was a Republican, but somehow magically got picked up by the brand new Democratic president to go work at the federal level. And yet somehow, while she's counting the votes, right, they kept counting the votes over and over again until what happened? Until Gregoire won. How many recounts did they do? Three or four?
Three. I think it was three, yeah.
Yeah. And she was, each time she got a little closer, it's almost like, dude, slip a few more in. Come on, slip a few more in. I mean, I'm not saying that happened. We don't have any evidence of that. All I'm saying is that the more and more of this corruption we're seeing coming out, I think the more and more evident to me that it is, that there is more likely than not a lot more cheating going on than we were ever aware of. That's just how it's looking to me. And it pains me to say that because our entire system, right? We, the governed, give the power of authority to the government. And they only can rule or govern with our letting them. And we let them because we have faith in our system of voting, which is not a democracy, right? Democracy is not, we are not a democracy. Democracy is a system. We are a representative republic. We have to have faith in our system or it doesn't work. That's where my issue with Donald Trump comes into play, because even though he was trying to make a case on January 6th, he never came out and made the case. He would have been much better served to gracefully bow out and said, I know that there was cheating and I'm going to find it, and left it at that. So he didn't. He upset the apple cart because he did not allow the peaceful transition of power to occur. So,
but here's a question, Paul, though. You said, having faith in our government is important. Can you give me a percentage of the Americans you think actually have faith in our government today? Because I would wager that number is less than 30%. I would think less than 30% of our country has faith in the job that the government is doing, whether it's Democrats hating Biden or Democrats hating Trump or Republicans hating Biden. And don't even start with your libertarian nonsense, Tom. I swear to God, if I hear, well, that's why we need a third party. I don't know.
It is why we need a third party.
I knew it.
But
I knew it. Stop.
Most of the Libertarian Party has
Linda.
no faith whatsoever in the government right now, either left or right, blue or red,
right.
D or R, however you want to label it. So that's the basis of the party, to be honest with you.
I would be curious, and I'm wondering if with this new system, if we have the ability, for example, to put a poll in the chat room, because I'm curious, Kevin, to your question, how many people between those of us in studio and how many are in the chat room right now could say that they had faith in the government? I'm willing to bet nobody in studio or in the chat room has faith. So your 30% might be
high.
more accurate
might be
than
generous.
Might be. I don't honestly know.
I mean, if you want my opinion, I think it is probably generous. I think it's probably 20 or 25%.
I don't know.
Yeah, and
hold on. Let me see if there's any polls out there.
So we got a poll on the show.
Survey Monkey.
Wah, wah, wah.
Well, I was looking to see if there was a poll out there.
No, Survey Monkey also has polls.
Okay.
But you can create your own survey. I'm looking to see if a
One exists
renowned
already.
Politico or whatever had done. I'll have to look. Well, here's one from. Oh, this is back from Hold on. Well, that's 2015. Never mind. Yeah, I'll look around and see what I can find. I think it's it's a challenge though, Paul. Right? People don't have faith in the government. They don't have faith in the elections. Either side, right? I mean, need I remind Democrats that when Donald Trump got elected, you all said the same thing about the election and whether or not the Russians were involved in tampering with the electronic voting machines and all that stuff, right? So let's not pretend that just because Biden got elected, it suddenly resolved all your issues. It didn't. So, people don't have faith in the government. They don't have faith in the elections. They don't have faith in our Congress. I mean, the congressional ratings are almost as low as Joe Biden's approval rating. We don't have faith in lobbyists.
Wow.
We don't have faith in the sanctity of our processes. We don't have faith that our elected officials are going to be held to the same standards that we are because, look, they haven't been. Go ahead, Paul.
Let me give you this from the Pew Research Center.
I love
they've
Pew.
been taking
Pew.
this poll. They've been taking this poll since 2007. The shares saying that they can trust the government always or most of the time has never surpassed 30%. So to your point, Kevin, it's never been over 30%. So that's obviously high. Today, as of today, 29% of Democrats and Democrat-leaning independents say they trust the government just about always or most of the time, compared with, guess what percentage of Republicans and Libertarians do?
Under 10.
9%.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Under 10, 9%.
Yeah, I found another one. This was a poll that was posted on ABC 7 somewhere, but it doesn't matter where they are. But they referenced a new poll from the Associated Press and NROC Center for Public Affairs Research. Half the country, 49%, say democracy is not working well in the United States, compared with 10% who said it's working very well, and 40% is working only somewhat well. Half of each party say that half. Hold on, I'll give the rest of this in a minute. Hold on, Outlaw Radio. Outlaw Radio. So 49% in this poll said democracy is not working well in the U.S. 10% said it's working very well, and 40% said it's working somewhat well. They were then asked about whether or not the political parties are doing a good job of upholding democracy. 47% said no about Democrats, and 56% said no about Republicans.
And that is right in line with the about 47% of America that said we need a third party.
Fuck God! Can we? I just want to have one segment where we're not. I need a third party. Oh, my gold is showing. We need a libertarian candidate. We don't need a third party because all third party's going to do is fracture us even more.
You mean we're united somewhere?
No, we're not united, but we'll be fractured more.
No, we won't be fractured.
Well,
more.
yeah, because you'll have an election where you'll get 35% and you'll get 30% and then you'll get 25% of the vote.
That's what we get now.
No, now we get in a presidential election, you get somewhere in the neighborhood of 50% to 48%.
I disagree.
Look at the national numbers from
now you're looking at national numbers, but those numbers aren't real. So you've got about 50-50. Right?
Sure. That's why I said 50-40.
Right.
Yeah.
We've talked about this before, though. We've got about 50-50.
Yeah.
And of that 50-50, we break it down farther, right, when we discuss it on air. But then all of a sudden, we don't break it down when we're trying to talk about the division overall. Because we've got, 25, maybe 30% on the left and the right that both say, yay, my party, and always vote R,
sure.
or always vote D. And then we've got that little narrow middle, right?
Back after this, Outlaw Radio.
.com.
Stop it! Yeah. All right, look, Outlaw Radio. We're going to have this conversation again. Paul's not there, so why don't you go ahead and take Paul's camera off just for a moment? He's probably in the. He's probably taking a Donald. He's probably taking a Donald and wiping his Trump.
By the way, do you still have that on your toilet?
Have what?
You got some.
My little pee picture thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have this device on the back of my toilet seat. The batteries are dead. I got to put new batteries in it, but it basically
That's what she
shines.
said.
It shines. It shines a projection of a face in the bottom of my toilet for you to pee on.
Right.
And it had one of the people in it is Trump, which is great.
I have
so many questions.
No, I get it.
I
Related,
gave Paul a Democrat.
very related to that.
Yeah.
Anybody realize that the S show happening in California right now is Hurricane Hillary?
I know.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that great?
Like, wow.
Love it.
Anyone
Anyway, I want to go ahead, Philip.
I was gonna say, and anyone like question, do we have hurricanes in the Pacific? And I was like, I thought it was cyclones or typhoons, and then I got schooled.
Yeah, I thought it was. I had that conversation too, where I thought it was only typhoons, but it isn't.
No.
A typhoon is
It
the
has to
same
do with
thing.
the
It's
direction.
well, it has to do with the
The
direction.
direction
It
of the
also
wind.
has to do with what side of the. I think it's the international date line you're on.
Typhoons are the north western side of the Pacific. The eastern side, which is our side, is hurricanes, and then
cyclones are in the
the
Atlantic.
Indian Ocean, and
Yeah.
But it's all
South
the same
Atlantic.
thing, really.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
just,
pretty much.
It's regional terminology.
I just call it a whirly dirly and call it good.
the fact they're saying like a year's worth of rain in California. What do you want to bet that dry lake that was starting to fill up actually fills up this time?
Oh, Lake.
Shasta.
No. The one down by
Oh.
Vegas, Lake Mead.
No. It's like just
Yeah.
outside of L.A. It's like
Oh,
farmland.
Lake Havasu.
No, it's
No,
like
that's
farmland.
Arizona.
It's a dry out, purposely dried out lake.
Oh, Lake Diego.
No, I'll have to look it up.
Oh, wait, you mean at the place where the Chargers play that nobody goes anymore? Perfect.
Oh.
Fill that sucker up.
Isn't that Vegas?
No longer be the Chargers. It'll just be the Los Angeles water polo team. By the way, water polo is a really inhumane sport.
I
All those
see
poor
Dennis.
horses. All those poor horses. Hello, Dennis. How about them Chargers?
For those of you on
Hold on.
AM.
I want to go back to this. So listen,
Fingers.
we could have an election
Fingers.
if you allowed multiple parties in the general election, right?
Yes.
So you have multiple parties in the election. You could have a 35 and a 30 and a 25.
Well-
okay, and I know that only adds up to 90%, and that's fine because you'd have other parties in there too,
Well,
like
and
the
there's
Green
gonna be
Party.
people that don't vote.
And we'll
all
talk
that
about the
stuff.
guy from the Green Party in a second because I love that story. But you would
I
have
missed
somebody
something.
winning the election with 35% of the vote.
They already.
That would mean
They
no,
already
they do not.
Yes, they do. Because the left and the right
Mhm.
are both fractured into smaller parties. They're just not recognized because
Look at
you
Trump.
are a very moderate Democrat. You don't like progressive policy, but on paper, you're a Democrat and so are they.
But
Right?
hold on.
So your party's already fractured. The right is already fractured. It's already fractions of percentages. It's not real numbers. It's
listen.
not really 50-50.
But it is on the voting when they go to the voting booth.
But
In
if you were-
2020,
it
Joe
only
Biden.
but that's why we're so messed up right now.
No. But you think we're going to be? You think we're going to be less messed up? Hold on. Let me give you the numbers. In 2020, Joe Biden won 51.3% of the popular vote to 46.8% for Donald Trump. That means a majority, barely a majority, but a majority voted for the guy who became the president. Now you're advocating for a system where we could have 35%
Yes.
pick the president of the United States, which
Yes.
means a double the percentage of people did not want him, but he's still the president. And you think it's going to unite us?
No.
In the immortal words of Alexander Hamilton, you must be out of your damn mind.
but
Hold on.
Well,
go
here's
ahead,
the
Dennis.
question I have.
Yeah, about your Chargers playing in a lake.
No.
Okay.
In a lake. They call that Rivers Lake, by the way. But here's my question.
Yeah.
Do the fat phobic people find trans fat offensive?
Yes.
Go
Yes,
back
they
to
do.
your office, Dennis. Go back to your office, Dennis.
Nice, Dennis.
All right, Paul. Do you have a thought? Hold on? Who's right? I think we'd be more divided
we will not be.
if we had more. If we had somebody winning with like 35, even 40% of the vote, than we would if we had just two parties. Where most elections, the person who garners the popular vote ends up being the president. Not all, but most.
Here's the problem though with
Yeah.
your two-party system,
Mhm.
and we've got 51.3 or whatever the hell it was.
Yeah, it's 51.3.
Okay, 51.3% of the Democrat, of the populace voted for Sleepy Joe.
Mm-hmm. Here's
How-
Sniffer.
Right, but that's because they had really in their mind two options.
Right.
Right or left, D or R,
Mhm.
blue or red, whatever.
Sure.
If you've got, say, 3 parties or 4 parties,
Mhm.
okay, and let's pick. We've had these conversations on the air before. Pick your top 5 favorite options for president. I don't care if it's a D or an R, red or blue, it doesn't matter, right? So we've talked about DeSantis and
Vivek
Haley
Ramaswamy.
and
Like
all
that
these
guy right now.
all these other options, right, that don't include Biden or Trump.
Mhm.
So let's take those top 5 and then break them down and discussion wise. You like Vivek.
I like Vivek, yeah.
Right? You're a Democrat. He's
Yeah.
a Republican.
He's a
You'll
reasonable.
vote-
He's a reasonable Republican. though.
Exactly. You'll vote
He's
for him.
closer to libertarian than Republican. to me.
You'll vote for him though.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah, but listen,
if you
30% of
multiple-
Americans are not going to vote for Vivek Ramaswamy. So now
but it
instead of
depends
getting,
on what their options are and who they relate to, and it's not going to be as fractured as you think.
No, I think it'd be more fractured because now you won't have a significant amount of the population getting behind any one candidate. You'll have
They're not now anyways.
30% for Trump and 18% for Ron the douchebag and
But
and
they're not-
12% for Vivek Ramaswamy and 3% for Nikki Haley. I mean, you listen. You look at how fractured the Republican Party is right now. They can't even decide whether they want to hump Trump's leg or put him down. And you're going to introduce that to the main election?
But the same can be said right now of the Democrats. I mean, especially with Biden and Joe on the take or looking like they're on the take more and more. So I mean, things are already fractured.
Paul,
They're
who's right?
Already broken.
Paul's who's right and who's wrong? Get my
Well,
music ready, Philip.
Because
here we go.
because you know how well. All right, I'm just going to say this, and it pains me to do so, but somebody has to say this. You're both right, and you're both wrong.
God,
Way to
can
go,
you take
Paul.
a stand on something?
No, I did that yesterday and fell off.
I just think that the numbers that we have right now, the statistics, the numbers we have right now do not accurately represent the populace. It's 50-50 on paper, but it's not really 50-50.
Can I add something, Tom?
Yeah.
It's part of my issue or concern, I should say, with a third party coming on strong. Because I don't think, as divided as this country is, I don't think we run the risk of making things better. I think we would make things conceivably worse, considerably worse, if just for chagrins and giggles, let's say Joe Manchin comes in and he denounces the Democratic Party and runs for the No Labels Party, right? And wins the presidency with, say, 38-40% of the vote.
Okay.
Which is conceivable.
Right.
Now you have a country where considerably less than half of the country voted for an individual who's now your president. And we see this in other countries. We see this in countries with parliamentary style voting, where the ruling party, if you will, votes on a prime minister, like England or whatever.
Right.
Or Israel. And we see the problems that come as a result of this parliamentary style system where you're putting people in charge of a country that does not have a support of the majority of the country, right? And I don't just mean a president winning by 48%, right, of the vote. You generally speaking can say half the country's against them and half the country's for them. But if you have somebody win the presidency from a third party with a considerably lower percentage, I think you're only going to serve to divide more.
Exactly.
Now, I could be wrong.
I disagree.
I could be wrong.
I disagree because we still have Congress and the Senate, and we have representation of the people. And if
how's that working out for you?
Well, it's working out horribly right now. But why is it working out horribly? Because every election cycle for president and every election cycle for our House and Senate members, the pendulum swings further left and further right.
Okay.
So if we can get away from that, get a third party in, put someone in the executive branch in the White House that is maybe they are 33 or 35% of the popular vote. Now your local representation for the House and Senate is even more important because those people can keep the executive branch in check. That's how the whole system was set up.
I think you are, Tom, I like you. Like, I would hang out with you. We could drink together.
Well, we've done these things.
Whatever. We all of that, right? But I think you're in a Pollyanna world right now. I think the idea that somehow adding more division to the fire somewhat creates less division is the equivalent to having more than one wife and thinking you're going to have less drama in the house. I don't think it's feasible. I don't think it's possible.
Kevin,
I
you
don't
can't
think it's
even have
likely.
one.
I know. I don't think it's likely. Like, I think if you start introducing other options, it just creates more division because, like,
well, we're already divided.
you're going to fracture it worse. You're just going to fracture it worse.
At the end of the day, we're just playing by the rules.
Yeah,
we have a set of rules. This is how you win the presidency with the electoral college system. If we don't like it, change it.
Yeah.
It's the rule.
Yeah, we had this conversation in the chat a little bit earlier today, and our radio or our Facebook cast crew, stuff chat. That we're already divided. I mean, we the
For
people,
sure,
we
Tom,
need to,
for sure.
we need to either wisen up and learn how to get along and vote smart and get rid of career politicians and corruption and all the rest of that nonsense. Because if we don't, I mean, we're already in the direction of shooting each other in the streets.
Lori?
So, quick question, Kevin, for
for me,
because you don't like this option or whatever's happening now. Is it because you don't like change? You don't like swirl? You don't like uncertainty?
No, here's why.
I'm
here's
curious
why.
to find out
You ever
your
taken a kid to an ice cream stand? Taking your kid to an ice cream stand? What kind do you want? Chocolate or vanilla? Oh, that's a tough decision, but I'm going to go with chocolate. What kind do you want? Chocolate, vanilla, or Oreo? Oh, crap. Now I got to decide between chocolate and Oreo. Not going to get vanilla, but chocolate. I mean, you give people more options, and they are more likely to get hung up on it, and people will get fractured more. Like Paul said a minute ago, if you have somebody win the election with 35% of the vote, that means twice as many percentage points were against him as for him. That means 2/3 of the country did not want this guy.
That means he
listen,
he better play nice.
Well, but hold on.
No more of the extremist
look at how it is now
nonsense.
but look how it is now when 48% of Republicans didn't want Biden in there. They're attacking him left and right. They want to evict him. They want to kick him out. Now you're gonna ratchet that up by another 25%. Stop it. It's a I love you, Tom. I have a very important question for you.
Rainbows and unicorns.
Okay. Stick around. Paul's at home. We'll get his thoughts as well.
Who was the brain trust that posted drunk Lori singing karaoke last night?
We'll talk about that in a minute as well.
Drunk.
She wasn't even
Radio.
drunk.
Back after this on Megatalk.com. By the way, I have breaking news. No, not that kind of breaking news.
Oh.
Guess what's going out in the mail to me, or not in the mail?
The newest Luke Bryan album.
To be shipped to me tomorrow.
The newest Luke Bryan
Probably a
album.
new video game.
Your new arcade system.
My new arcade system finally.
Oh,
after-
that's funny. I finally got an arcade.
I know you finally got
game.
your Xbox.
Rude.
I know.
Nintendo.
I suck.
Yeah. Oh, everybody, did you know that?
Well, no. So do you know what I figured what the problem was? I thought I had 3 regular Nintendos and I only had 2, and I gave one to my mom, so I didn't have one for you. But I do have a Super Nintendo. If you want that, you don't want a Super Nintendo.
I want the gray one. NES.
You want the first one, not the second one.
I think so.
She said
I've
NES,
never
not
had one.
SNES.
I've never had one. I have no idea what I want.
Okay, you're missing out.
I don't know any of the progression of any of these things.
I just have a Raspberry Pi with the arcade little thing, and you download the games and
Raspberry
play
Pi's
Nintendo.
fun.
Yeah.
That I would be into because I get to build it. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know either. That it's.
Well,
never
I
really
got
been my
Pies
scene.
doing stuff all over the place.
Oh.
They're fun.
All right.
So does it have a new design? Because didn't they design the front of yours? Do they have to do a new design, or does it switch over?
Well, I got to pick. I got to suggest what I wanted of the design. Then they did it. But this one, I went a little bit further with the design. On the first one, I hadn't put any graphics or anything on the front or on the top where the knobs and buttons are at. So on this one, I added designs up there. So this will be a little more intensive. And it'll have about 4,000 more games.
Right.
And it will have light guns.
Pew pews.
Pew
So,
pews.
when is K-Dog's arcade opening?
When it
I'm going to
gets
show you
there.
pictures
When's
in
the
a minute. You guys come over anytime you want to. I got open door. I'll let you know when it's done.
Outlaw Radio.
Outlaw Radio.
.com.
radio.
We're getting the finger.
Network.com.
Oh,
I see why he hates
yeah,
that.
I love radio.
That's annoying as.
So there's my other two
You
arcades.
love
That
it,
one's
you
going
know
away
it.
to replace it
No.
with a
Hey,
new one.
Paul, can you see that photo of his new arcade? No.
No, I'm not sharing it with
Sorry.
you guys. This is between me and Tom. This is Man Talk over here. Man Talk brought to you by Black Ring Spirits. Want to feel like a man? Drink alcohol. All right.
Also, photos by Kiki. Foot
You see
photos
that?
by
Yeah, you see
Foot
that?
pics by Kiki.
That I
Wait till it's done. It's going to be phenomenal. You can't tell, but there
Wow.
are 17 video game systems in that.
good lord.
So
Yeah,
should,
17.
should we play that Spike Cohen thing, or is that not for the show?
Is that for this segment or for that for another segment?
What's
I don't know.
Spike Cohen?
I got
thing?
I got queued up ready to play video.
I don't know what he's talking about.
Oh, I sent a
We have a segment of Spike Cohen speaking to the city council. City council.
All right, we'll do that
which
next
one?
hour.
Because he's done a lot of that.
Yeah. Well, and somebody needs to give the backstory on it too.
Yeah,
'cause
we'll do it next hour.
otherwise-
Yeah, we'll do that next hour. Also, next hour we'll talk about Ron DeSantis not playing nice in the AI pool. So we'll get to that as well.
In the AI pool.
So,
Yeah.
so
Now
just
what?
occurred to me, Kevin, if I was ever to vote D, it would be DeSantis.
Are you a DeSantis guy?
No, I just realized the play on words.
You're just being funny? Look at you. All right. Paul, I know you had comments and thoughts. Please tell me.
Comments and thoughts on what?
We were
Third
just
party.
talking about third party stuff. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I kind of had already made my point about that, right? It's that we're a representative republic. So how does it work as a representative republic to have somebody win the presidency that barely has a third of America behind him? That's not an appropriate representation then.
But
So
isn't that if they win the-
I still present the idea that we're already there.
isn't that how the electoral college
You know,
works?
we've already got a president that's in office that the majority of the country doesn't support, but on paper, half the country put in office. But I don't think it was half the country, to be honest with you. I think it was if there had been, say, 3 major candidates, 3 people allowed on the debate stage, 3 people allowed to really, get the attention of the media and the attention of the population.
Well, let's
I
keep in
think
mind
people would
states have
cross-
different rules.
Right. I mean,
That has to be
yeah,
fixed.
that has
So
to be fixed.
let me give you an example, right? Washington State, our electors are the folks that go down to Olympia and cast their votes as part of the electoral college, are not bound in any way, shape, or form by the popular vote.
Right.
Okay. Now
That's
they
the case
do. They're
everywhere.
encouraged to. No, it's not. And in fact, in some states, you are required to cast your vote according to the popular vote. In some states, if your state is won by a particular individual, all of you have to vote for that particular individual. In
I did
some
not
states
know
like
that.
Washington, they don't have to do that. Yes, every state has different rules for their members of the electoral college that cast those votes. There's no consistency there whatsoever.
Isn't that part of being
So
in the
you can.
United States? Like
It's
we
a
have
states'
that-
rights issue for sure.
Yeah.
No, but it shouldn't be.
But that's
Isn't that part of the flavor?
well,
of our
that's
Fifth
part
Amendment?
of the debate. That's part of the
that's
debate,
certainly the
right?
conversation.
Here's why it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Because the sanctity of a federal election is different than the sanctity of a state election or a city election or county election. So when we're looking at putting people into federal office, like the president, the rules need to be the same across the board. I don't, because for the federal law. Now, for the state and other stuff, you can do whatever you want to, but we can't have an
Well,
uneven
we're talking
playing
about
field.
the federal,
But isn't
but
the
we've had
rule-
one.
Right, but we have an uneven playing field right now.
Isn't the rule that
Well-
the states have electors and they bring their vote in the electoral college? How those electors happen is a different element. So there is similarity. It's just not complete similarity.
Right. But I'm arguing, and I hear what you're saying, Philip, and it's a common states' rights discussion.
Mhm.
Here's the problem. The problem is we're all picking towards the same office, right? So when picking towards the same office, the same rules should apply across the board. Theoretically, if the law is different in Washington than it is in Georgia, for example, then somebody is not allowed to vote or has a harder time voting in Georgia than in Washington. And that is not that is not equal footing. What I want is equal footing across the board so that everybody has the same right and opportunity to vote regardless of what state they're in.
Sounds like a constitutional amendment.
So, well, maybe if convicted felons can vote for president in Washington, but they cannot vote for president in Texas, that is an imbalance in the ability to cast your vote that has to be resolved. Because I will guarantee you right now, most convicted felons are probably going to vote Democrat than Republican.
Mm-hmm.
So hypothetically,
so you're not in
hypothetical-
favor of states' rights with regards to the federal election. Is that what you're
Not
saying?
regards to federal election. Now, I think a state can run whatever they want to, but I think this mail-in ballots has to be equal across the board. The absentee requirements have to be equal across the board. Photo ID requirements, whether you're going to have them or not, and to what extent, need to be equal across the board. It should not be. It should not be common action in this country for someone to have the ability to vote or an easier ability to vote in Washington than they do in Idaho. And yet the systems of each individual state have made that happen.
So if the federal system then said, you know what, we're going to model ourselves after Idaho, just hypothetically, you'd be like, well, that's not fair because Washington wants to have a more liberal way of voting. Well, sorry, that's the federal way.
Again, it's two different arguments,
would you
right?
concede that?
It's two different arguments. The first argument is, should it be federally regulated for federal elections, regardless of what the rules are? I will say yes. Period. End of story. Federal elections, federal rules.
So
it doesn't mean I'm going to agree with all the federal rules that they put into place. That's a different conversation, but I think it should be a blanket, Paul.
But then that means you are not in favor of states' rights.
I'm in favor
you cannot be both.
You can be.
You can't be.
Yes, you can.
How can you be in favor of states' rights, but saying at the same time all of the states have to be exactly the same and take each state's independent right away to determine how the federal
elections
work?
Yes, but the state has the ability to establish its own rules and regulations for their own elections,
for their governor, for their
governor, legislature, dog catcher, port.
But we have that precedent, right? It's been in place for 200 years. So that's the system that we have, and that's the system we've been operating under. And the suggestion to change those, what comes with that is also the suggestion that we have to take this power, this authority, this decision making away from the states. So you're not pro states' rights on this issue, right?
On federal elections, no.
Right. No, I got you. I just wanted to make sure that we all understood.
There's all kinds of things that are not pro states' rights issues that we have in this country. The
sure,
military
and they should all be adjusted.
The military is not a pro states' rights issue. Federal taxes is not a pro.
What does the military have to do with states' rights?
Jay Inslee can't deploy the Navy to Canada. That has to come from the commander. Right. That has to come from the commander in chief, who's federal.
No, but he can deploy his National Guard, his state's National Guard. They do fall under his.
I wonder why he hasn't invaded Canada yet. All I'm saying is not everything. There are some things that are still at the federal purview. And as we're talking about federal elections, I firmly believe the sanctity of our elections need to be protected. The states should be protecting their own, but the federal government, the federal government is a different kettle of fish.
Okay. And as a constitutional scholar that you make sure you tell everybody you are,
yes.
How does that marry with the Constitution?
Well, the Constitution specifically, no, it does. The Constitution specifically outlines the terms of who may be elected to federal office, how long the terms are for federal offices, all of that, right?
Right.
So hold on, let me finish.
Okay.
So if you're acknowledging that the federal government is the one who set forth the guidelines as to who can and cannot be elected, what ages, length of terms, all of that, then you are already acknowledging that the federal government has that role. So if the federal government has the role of setting the guidelines in regards to federal elections, why would they not be in charge of enforcing the requirements about voting in federal elections?
Or would we say the states ratified a constitution and amendments to do what you just said?
I don't have an answer to that, but things start to change when you go and say, okay, we have mail-in voting here in Washington, but in I don't know, Kansas, maybe you have to show up in person.
Then why are women allowed to vote federally? Why wasn't that a states' rights issue?
Because it was a federal amendment.
Right. But hold on.
But
why?
that was a civil rights issue. That was a federal civil
hold on.
rights issue.
But why?
And
if we're
the
arguing,
states had to ratify it.
If we're arguing that the states should have the right to choose who can and can't vote, then the 19th Amendment should not be constitutional because the state should have been in charge of saying whether or not women can vote. Same thing with African Americans, right? I mean, hold on. And I'm not advocating Kevin, we change anything. I'm just saying if you want to use this argument that it is a states' rights issue and the states should do it, then African Americans shouldn't have a federal right to vote and women shouldn't have a federal right to vote.
I agree with you. I think the federal government needs to set some guidelines so that everyone's playing on like you said, a level playing field. Either mail-in ballots or show up in person, but not both.
The 15th Amendment denied denial of the ability to vote based on certain criteria, right? So the federal government has a long storied history in this country in constitutional amendments that have allowed.
Who ratified the 15th Amendment? The states.
Well, yeah.
I'm saying if we want it to be federally done, it's ratified by the states. It sounds
if you do an amendment, yeah. I don't think an amendment's required for this.
I'm thinking it should be. I'm not saying it should be required, but I'm saying that's how you get consensus. Okay, as states, we agree.
To be honest with you, I think the only way it's going to happen is with an amendment because there's not enough cooperation amongst anyone right now to do it any other way.
The 17th Amendment covered the direct election of senators. The 17th Amendment. Okay. The federal government has already introduced itself into the middle of that pie that says we get to regulate how senators are chosen.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need another amendment. The federal government has already said by the 17th Amendment, we have the ability to regulate how senators are chosen.
Hold on. The 17th Amendment?
Yes.
Again, who was ratified by?
I'm not talking about ratification. I'm saying the 17th Amendment is already on the books.
Sure.
So we don't need another amendment. This one was already put into place.
For one thing, for senators.
Yeah, because we used to have senates voted on by the states' legislation. They would send their senators.
So I mean, we still have the quagmire of all the rest of the federal offices, and the lack of cooperation amongst all the federal offices.
Yeah, I hear you. And I'm a firm supporter of states' rights. I really am. But this is not a states' rights issue. I really am, and everything else we've ever talked about. But this is
Listen, I'm not faulting you, Kevin. Let me just say this, and then we could move on, I suppose. But for the age of our country, over 200 years, we've been doing it the same way for that amount of time. And this particular issue has existed since day one, right?
Yep.
So clearly, how they're doing it now is nobody's talking or making any plans about changing that. So
I'm going to ask Paul a question in a second on top of the hour. We come back, we'll get into a clip from one of our favorite guests, Spike Cohen, and we'll talk about Ron DeSantis not playing nice in the AI pool. We'll talk about all that and more. It's the Outlaw Radio Network.com. God bless it, Philip. All right, Outlaw Radio. So, Paul, let me ask you a question in regard to this very subject. Would you agree that at this point in our nation's history, the risk to our election process is more egregious than it's ever been?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Would you agree that now the risk to our elections process is more egregious than it's ever been? Like, there's always been a risk of issues. There's always been a risk of messing up the sanctity of the elections, fraudulent ballots, all of that. But would you agree now that with the introduction of electronic voting machines, hacking, all of that stuff,
technology,
that the risk now is bigger than it's ever been?
1,000%. And I'll follow it up by saying this: a guy who used to be involved with the show, who's now in IT for a large law firm in Seattle, Paul Dent.
I thought you meant Jammer.
Nope. Paul goes every year to the trade shows down in Las Vegas. Okay. Mm-hmm. And he will be the first one to sit in front of you and tell you, he goes, I don't care what anybody says on television. the bullshit about not being able to hack into the voting machines is an utter and complete lie. He goes, a good hacker can do it in a matter of seconds, any one of them. Yep. So he's like, this idea that they're safe and secure is just bollocks. Totally not true. And it's something everybody needs to remember. And he's watched them do it in front of him. So,
yeah. No, I don't, but that's why I believe we have to have a uniform set of rules across the country. I know that a lot of Republicans will poo-poo that. They don't want more layers of government and bureaucracy on top of things. But I think a federal elections department, whatever, that oversees everything.
It could actually be done in a really streamlined, non-bureaucratic manner.
But I think the first thing you do is you get rid of mail-in voting. And the second thing I do is you get rid of the electronic voting machines. You go back to ballots as you used to do. You require ID when they check in. You have to show your voter's card and your photo ID. You can have a computer for that to make sure that the same person's not voting in multiple different precincts at the same time. Fine, you can do that. But I want the ballots to be cast on paper and punched and calculated and tabulated the old way. Because
what about hanging Chad?
Leave Chad alone, poor guy. Just because he's suicidal doesn't mean we need to let him.
Figure out how to use the blockchain, right?
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. I just think it's a bad idea. That's what I think. All right.
It would be interesting to see like an audit, so to speak, of like Washington. How exactly do they consider our voting safe? Just nuts and bolts. How does it work?
I think the audits only happen
for a few seconds.
Go ahead.
And I don't mean auditing a particular thing, but like auditing the system.
Oh, that are
kind of like how you might audit a software solution to understand how the programming's done.
There's no way that the state would allow for that to happen. You know, I mean, you get to look behind all those curtains. I mean, it would at least show how much money.
Suddenly, the audio got really scrappy on this end.
Well, sounds good here.
I didn't do it.
Are the turkeys eating the phone lines? He looks.
No, I don't have turkeys anymore. Hey,
he still looked.
A few minutes ago, you had the video screens adjusted so that mine was small next to the studio. It was large.
Yeah, I was just trying different
that's
things.
a really good way to. Yeah, I think that's a good way to keep it because you still got the focus on the studio there. There you go.
I think Paul needs to be bigger so we can count the blemishes. Come on, make him bigger. Make him bigger, Philip. Yeah, look at him. Look at all the gray in his beard. Look at that. God, you're a sexy bitch, Paul. Just so we're clear. All right. When we come back, we've got an interesting clip. Laura, you're going to set it up when we come back about this Spike Cohen clip that we're going to play?
Yep. And I got it queued up, ready to play video and audio.
Video and audio for the first time. This will be fun. We're testing.
And later we'll teach you how to do it.
Teach me how to do it?
Yeah.
No,
oh my God.
Not today.
Dun, dun,
But
dun.
not today.
Won't even happen.
All right. Outlaw Radio. We're back after
That's
this.
going to take years.
On the Mega Talk Radio Network.
All right. I guess,
that's what I said.
I guess dead air.
Well, no, how much longer do we have?
20 seconds.
Dead air.
Paul, do you like my shirt?
.com.
Ask me about my feet pics, Paul.
It's disturbing.
Where's Kiki?
Kiki is...
You're listening to the Outlaw Radio Network.
I can't stop this feeling deep inside of me. Girl, you just don't realize what you do to me. When you hold me in your arms so tight, you let me know everything's all right.
They call him
of the galaxy.
Oh, really? Kato? Oh.
That was a big fail.
Clearly, somebody had planned something behind my back.
That was a face plant.
Oh, it was easy. You weren't here, so.
Here's what happens when people try to take my bits and make them their own.
Oh, we don't want to talk about your bits.
You can't see this, but Paul just pissed himself.
No, because it was supposed to be cut out, and over the headphones, I heard the whole audio.
Oh,
so
yeah,
it sounded
Phil,
like he didn't cut it out.
I ran out of hands to run things.
Yeah.
I get you. But what it was supposed to say was, he's K-Dog the loose cannon, father of many, prince to a few, king to one, and lover to none.
That would have been a little long. That would have been a little long.
Yeah, to his mom.
She said.
To his mom.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
You know, I was all ready to say something. I was just going to say, we're libertarians. We want to vote for someone with no chance to win. What a bunch of a-holes. So, I mean, I was ready. Spur of the moment.
All right.
Remember, folks, I'm a trained professional. Don't try this at home.
Hey, professionals get paid.
I want to give an shut up, Philip. I do want to give an update. So next Sunday night, we will return the tradition of picking NFL games with our preseason NFL picks next Sunday. Trojo's going to join us for those picks.
Hey.
Oh, it'll take.
We're gonna have
it'll be a short segment.
Should we bring in a bunch of people on our guest system and.
Oh, Troy! Yeah, we'll have to Troy and Trojo call him by video. That'd be great.
We'll have to make sure he sits on a stool so we can see him on the video.
I also want to remind you guys that coming up on the 9th, NFL opening weekend, September 9th, we will be participating at the Kitsap Demolition Derby for the third Outlaw Invitational.
Third annual.
Well, not third annual, because there were like a couple in a row that were canceled because of COVID. So it's
you can still
call those years don't count anyway.
Yeah, those are like the dead years.
Okay, the
third
lost
annual. Years.
Yeah, COVID counted for like 5 years mentally.
We'd appreciate you stop bringing it up too.
Anyway, if you guys want to be there, be at the Kitsap County Fairgrounds. Doors will open at 2:30. Time trials start at 4:30, and it's the races will start at 5:30. And at some point that night,
we be whooping your candy ass,
Paul. He's talking to you. Your favorite radio crew will be racing cars. And did we send information? Did you send info to Brandy Cruz?
You were supposed to.
No, Tom. She asked Tom to send it over to her.
Regarding
the Derby. Remember, we asked her if she wanted to be in the Derby with us.
Oh, wow, even my mom told me that you guys did that.
Oh, yeah, I'll get all the Derby
info. So if I need to get
on
something,
so
let me know.
Maybe send her a message during the show. Do you mind? Just let her know the dates.
It's a little late for her now. I usually get in touch with her early.
Okay, we do that tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll do it tomorrow.
Thank you. Yeah, so former state representative Jesse Young will be there. I'll be there. Paul will be there. Tom will be there. I think Debbie DT is supposed to be here. Lori will be there. And Boss Baby will be hiding out in a secret vantage point.
She'll be wearing a dress again.
It was not a dress. It had shorts, and nobody told me to watch for. Yes. Hey, thank you. Nobody told me to don't sit next to Dennis because I'm gonna get mud flung in places mud doesn't.
Choose your words carefully. Right.
You heard?
Choose your next words
flung,
carefully.
FLUNG.
And also, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that the Mariners swept the Astros this weekend, and they continue to play much better than I thought they were going to. Lori,
and what's the standing? Let me look up the standings.
Right now, they're
half a game behind.
The Astros?
No, the Mariners are half a game behind.
Half a game behind who?
Whatever they need to be in the series.
No, they're in the wild. They have the wild card lead right now.
As of today.
Yeah, right now.
As of yesterday, they were half a game behind.
No, they weren't. They've been up. No, I'm not going to argue with you about sports. You don't argue with me about cooking bacon. I won't argue about sports.
That's why I don't make you sandwiches.
I know.
So you want to hear something that's really interesting, Kevin?
What's that?
The Mariners, when you look at the American League standings, first place in the American League with 75 wins is the Tampa Bay Rays.
Yep.
Second place in the American League is your Houston Astros, who just got swept by your Seattle Mariners.
That's incorrect.
Third place.
Texas has second. Houston has third. No, Baltimore has first.
Are you sure? 75 win.
Yeah, Baltimore is 76.
When I'm
you're
looking
at the wild card standings. That's where you're.
I'm looking at the wild card standings. Yeah.
You said
Tampa Bay. It's in the lead
for the wild
lead,
card, right?
Lead.
Right.
Yeah. So Tampa Bay with 75 wins, Houston Astros with 70 wins, Seattle Mariners with 69 wins.
Yep.
And the Mariners are on a 6-game tear, 7-3 over the last 10 games.
Yep. Toronto, excuse me. Toronto has 69 wins as well. They're a half game back. Toronto, they're a half game back, not a half game. So, yeah, no, they're doing really well. Somebody asked me on social media what I thought about the Mariners, that they're going to make the playoffs. And I said, I didn't know, but I figured they'd be in it till the end, and they're going to be in it till the end.
Wait, what? You were somewhat positive about the Mariners?
I'm not positive at all. I still worry about them. They just lost another starting pitcher to injury today after pitching only 2 innings. This is like the 4th starting pitcher they've lost this season. It's a challenge. Mm-hmm. And at some point you run out of arms. Yep. But I hope they keep playing well. Julio Rodriguez is a beast.
Yes.
So, all right, Lori, set up our story. We're going to talk about our good friend who was in studio with us.
Yes.
We've interviewed him a couple of times, Spike Cohen with the
Spike
Libertarian
Cohen,
Party.
Who ran as vice president candidate.
Mm-hmm.
Couple
2020.
Yeah, 2020. Yeah. Thank you.
Couple elections ago.
Elections ago. It was so long ago.
Yeah, it was the Jorgensen Cohen ticket.
Yes. Thank you. Anyways, so he was speaking at a particular city council, and first he was objecting to the 3-minute time limit for free speech.
Oh, I know which one this
is.
And
then next he was objecting to the potential racketeering by the city council, because they wanted permits and fines and fees levied against a group that was feeding the homeless with their own money. So there you go. I think we're ready to go.
Let's play it.
Yeah, this was in North Carolina, I believe.
Thank you. My name is Spike Cohen. I don't recall the First Amendment coming with a 3-minute time limit, but that's okay. I shouldn't even need that long. I'm here to speak on behalf of Erica Brown and Be Kind, Be Great, and all of the other residents of your community who are out helping people as they're being told by the city government that there's a problem with that. We've heard, Howard, you were one of them, we've heard some of you on the news saying that they're creating a hazard and that they're making a mess. And yet when Be Kind, Be Great goes out and feeds people, they leave the place cleaner than they found it. You called them a nuisance. I don't think a person helping another person and giving them food is a nuisance. I think when someone shows up and lies about them and threatens them with fines or jail time, I think that's a nuisance. Now, what wasn't mentioned in your declaration about the plan that you're offering, what you didn't mention is it comes with fees. So you're now telling people who out of the goodness of their own heart are trying to help members of your community in need that before they can spend a single penny to give a single morsel to someone who needs it, they got to pay you off first. Now, I don't think the single one of you outside of your capacity as a government official, I don't think a single one of you, if you were on the other side of this dais, would dare to go out there to someone who's feeding someone else and say, this is a nice little charity you got here. Be a real shame if something were to happen to it. Maybe if you do it the way I tell you to and you give me a little piece of it, I'll let you keep doing it. And maybe if not, we'll have some trouble. I don't think a single one of you would do that. I don't think any of you are sociopaths. I don't think any of you are protection racketeers or mobsters. I think what happens is you get on that side of the table and you tell yourself that you're just doing your jobs. Well, if that were actually true, then your jobs are objectively evil. You should quit them and find something better to do. I don't think that's your job. I think you can choose to do your job differently and treat them with the same level of respect that you treat them with on this side of the table. And so what I'm here proposing, and this might sound crazy, is for you to act on that side of the dais as you would on this side of the dais and let people help people who are in need. Whichever you choose, I'm going to make sure, as I do in cities across the country, that millions of people know what you chose. I hope that the thousands upon thousands of those who contact you about it will be congratulating you on choosing to be a hero and not giving their thoughts on you, instead being a nuisance. See you soon.
See, I wish in Tom's land of rainbows and lollipops and unicorns and My Little Ponies that
My Little Pony, I like that.
That people were allowed to rally behind a candidate like that. It's not going to happen, but I wish that could happen.
You had the opportunity to in 2020.
No, because of we're not going to do this again.
Yeah, but you did. He was on the ballot. You had the opportunity.
Yes.
In 2020.
Yes.
I took it.
Okay. How did you do?
Well, we know how that went. But
yes,
he's still making an impact. He's still doing things. He's still out there, making a name, making a showing, and standing.
Well,
behind
so
what
is
he believes
Adolf
in.
Hitler.
Well, actually, Paul, he's
I think
probably
we have a little bit of a timeline issue here.
Under a dirt mound.
No, they're still looking for Hitler, right? On that show on History Channel.
Sure.
Hunting Hitler.
We might find a femur or a.
I think he made it to
humerus.
I think he made it to Argentina, but that's
jawbone, a couple of teeth. I don't know.
I think he and Adolf were all made it to.
It might be a femur
Argentina.
or Fuhrer.
No, listen. It's why I have a lot of respect, and Paul's gonna mock me for this.
Mock.
It's why I have a lot of respect for people on both sides of the political aisle who stand up for what they believe for. Look, Greta Thunberg is an annoying little shrill. Okay,
how dare you?
But God bless her for getting active and involved on something she cares about. I think she's annoying. I think she makes me want to put my head through a plate glass window. But she's committing herself to a cause that is bigger than her that she cares about. I'm never going to knock people who do that. Ever. Never, ever. I just, Tara Simmons. I don't agree with everything Tara Simmons has done, but she's on a, never mind. I can't talk about Tara Simmons. She's on a cruise ship right now and is openly promoting it on her Facebook page, which I think she has every right to do it. She's a lawyer. God knows she doesn't make a lot of money as a representative, but it's a bad showing. Hello, peasants. I'm on a cruise. I know the economy's about to tank, but I'm on a cruise. Anyway, more power to him.
Just doing her part to help hold up the economy, right?
That's right.
With subpar wages and all that, right?
Well, talking about other people doing their jobs. I don't know if you guys have heard this or not, but Jimmy Carter's grandson came out day before yesterday and said that we're on. He said we're in the final chapter in regards to Jimmy Carter's life.
Oh, he's not that coming out.
What's that, Paul?
Yeah, he said both Jimmy Carter and Rosalind Carter, Jimmy's wife, both are in their final stages of life.
Yeah,
which is a polite way of saying they're dying. Newsflash: we all are.
Usually, when you get to your 90s, it's not too far off.
You're so insensitive. Carter has been in hospice care since February. I think a lot of people are surprised. Once you go into hospice,
since
people
February.
Expect it's relatively. You're kind of around the corner.
Yeah, February to August is kind of a long haul.
So it's 6 months for him to still be fighting and everything. Rosalind's issue is that she's suffering from pretty severe dementia. Although Jimmy Carter's grandson said that she's still generally aware of who people are and where she's at, and she's still able to. He said she's still, quote, able to make some memories at this point. Yeah, I just thought it was a good opportunity. We're talking about people making sacrifices in service and everything. And Carter was a lousy president, awful president. Mm-hmm. But since 1980, when he left the White House, he's probably been the best ex-president. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Probably the most humanitarian. Listen, Bill did a lot of things humanitarian-wise as well.
He's not dead yet.
No, but he did a lot of things humanitarian-wise as well in conjunction with George Bush. They did a lot of. They did. Go read, Lori. Don't give me that look. They did a lot of stuff in Africa, and they did a lot of stuff for AIDS research and AIDS funding, and
Bill helped a lot of young interns get up in the world.
That's right, and they helped him get up too.
He saved the world for more Bill Clintons.
One can hope.
You know what? You guys are all
Didn't
crap.
he hang out with Epstein a few times?
Yes, he did. He's on the log.
Yeah.
We don't know if he's on the log because we've never seen it.
Did you hear the latest about Maxwell?
No, what's
no?
going
She's still alive. Surprise!
Yeah, no, actually, she is. The last thing I read, it was earlier today. She's like a hero to her
Inmates?
Inmate population, because she absolutely refuses to cooperate with any of the investigation, and they've put her in the absolute worst part of where she could live. Just all the punishments, and she's still just digging her heels in.
You know why?
So what, Southeast DC?
She doesn't want to get Clinton cited.
Yeah.
It's
No,
her
I mean
life insurance policy.
By the way, I did find an article, Paul, that said that Bill Clinton was a guest on Epstein's Island. So I will, in 2011.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not surprising, man. Not surprising.
I have so many inappropriate comments I'm not going to make. I'm just going to leave it alone. I'm going to leave it alone. I'm just going to leave it alone.
Wow. Remember that time in chat that I said I'm going to be a better person?
Oh, which time? I think you've said
Today.
that more than
the one I said today.
Oh,
Might
yeah.
be done already.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
So I want to read this story really quick, and this is out of the Tampa Bay Times, but you can look it up. It's all over the internet. So an ad for Ron DeSantis. I don't know to the extent that he approved it, knew about it, how high up in his campaign it goes. That's not really the point of this discussion, okay? But an ad for DeSantis, supporting him over Donald Trump for the Republican nomination, use our artificial intelligence to recreate Trump's voice in the commercials. Okay.
So it sounded like Trump was endorsing DeSantis.
No, it was basically he was taking Trump comments. So these are comments that Trump used. Okay. These are actual comments that he said, but they didn't have audio for them.
Okay.
So they used AI
to
recreate them and actually put them in Trump's voice.
Okay.
So then they could replay them.
Right.
Right. So there wasn't anything flat out dishonest about it. Okay. But it was definitely portrayed in a way that to me felt really dishonest. Okay.
It
was
seems
done
greasy.
Yeah. It was done by a PAC called Never Back Down. So again, not associated with the DeSantis campaign. And again, did he know? Did he not know? I don't know.
If he did know, can he do anything about it?
I don't know. I mean, I would assume the candidate can have some say over what ads or what
please
things
don't
run,
do that.
right?
Yeah, but they don't have to. They don't have to heed that, do they?
Yeah. So he used Trump's own words against him, right? But they use the AI to present it. Now, I don't. Philip, you can take that off the screen. That's okay.
You don't want to play it? Play it. Play the clip.
No, it's not. It's just the article. There's
a
not
YouTube clip if you scroll up.
There's a YouTube clip.
Where's the YouTube clip?
Scroll up just a little bit, Philip. Right.
Let's play. Yeah, Philip, will you play that ad? This is the actual ad that they played. Keep in mind, though, this is not Trump's voice. This is AI.
Governor Kim Reynolds is a conservative champion. She signed the heartbeat bill and stands up for Iowans every day. So why is Donald Trump attacking her?
I opened up the governor position for Kim Reynolds, in which she fell behind. I endorsed her, did big rallies, and she won. Now she wants to remain neutral. I don't invite her to events.
Trump should fight Democrats, not Republicans. What happened to Donald Trump? Never Back Down is responsible for the content of this advertising.
So again, he said all of that. He said all of that.
Yeah.
But the voice is created through AI and sounds a little wonky, I think. But
it doesn't hold the this is gonna sound stupid.
Trump delivery?
It doesn't hold the notes.
The timbre.
It doesn't hold the words and drag them out
kinda
as long
flat.
as he does.
Yeah,
and
it's
not
flat.
quite enough inflection on some of those.
Paul, what was that?
So that's 100% true. But remember we talked about this 1 or 2 weeks ago, where I said this year becomes the last time that we can ever use the phrase "seeing is believing." Right? I heard him say it, because none of that's going to be applicable anymore, and we're only starting to just see the beginning of it.
Yep. Well, and listen, I had my kids over for dinner tonight, and my youngest son is very politically interested. You know, he follows it a lot. And I told him, I said, the biggest challenge you're going to have the rest of your life, the big challenge facing humanity for the rest of your life, is whether or not you can believe anything you see, hear, or read. Sure. Bigger than Russia, bigger than China, bigger than election security, everything. Because the introduction of AI and its ability to deceive us it should be scary as hell to everybody.
It's gonna have social consequences.
I wonder what point we start. Just like in security, you sign documents as authentic. Do things have to be authenticated?
Well,
but then people always give that up to a third party, and then it'll get spoofed too.
Yep.
So when do I get to marry an AI and not have to deal with a real man?
Oh, you probably already.
Oh, you just go to
I think you can
go
do
to
that now.
Japan.
I'm sure I probably can't, but that's like I know that there's artificial insemination, so they can take a turkey baster and get someone pregnant.
I can see it.
So
Andy, you're pregnant. Yeah, I got it.
No,
I got
absolutely
artificial
not.
Insemination from my artificial intelligence. So
Johnny 5 is alive.
Yeah.
Johnny 5 is alive. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk about.
He won't have his dad's ears.
Mm-hmm.
When we come back, we're going to talk about the options that that Congress is considering, and I'm going to ask you guys if you think it's enough to protect the democracy, to protect our news, to protect all of it. So stick around. We're coming up on break at the bottom of the hour. When we come back, more of the Outlaw Radio Network. K-Dog, St. Paul, Black Tom, the CEO, Boss Baby, Bob Ross, and somewhere around here is DJ D. And maybe if we're lucky, Philip can play later in the show an audio clip of Lori singing at karaoke last night.
No.
It was
I
beautiful.
was trying to help you guys out.
Outlaw
I
Radio, back
couldn't
after this.
believe. I could not believe that she let somebody post that.
Say for a price.
I don't know that
Especially with
she
the
knew
dance
it
moves.
was
I did
live.
not know until the end.
Break his neck, zip it.
Oh, you should have killed him. Boom, boom.
Why don't you want the world to hear your beautiful voice?
Because it's not beautiful.
When you sang, I swear to God, it was like listening to
Oh,
angels.
please.
If
The
the world,
lights.
You already fed me the chicken fried steak. Let it go.
here's the PC way to put it. If the world wanted to hear a beautiful voice, they should have been here yesterday
Yeah. there
in
you
person.
I was working in Snohomish.
go. Yes.
How was your
that?
event, by the way?
Yeah.
It was pretty cool.
I saw some friends, kids post about it. They were there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, Tom made somebody else's page. This is amazing.
Yay.
Sorry, I'm not on mic. Sorry.
No, that's
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, it was a fun event. I'm waiting to see. So last year they did the same thing, and they never came up with a tally or anything for any of us vendors. But all of the participants that go to the event get a little gold token, and they get to give their gold token to their favorite, distillery or brewery or cidery or whatever. And so I never did hear how we did last year. Last year we had a pretty good stack of gold tokens, and this year was kind of the same. But
Good.
yeah, we'll see.
You guys are just getting bigger and bigger. There's going to be a time you're just too big to be on this show anymore. You'll be like, I got to go to Germany to take some black ring spirits to Germany. I got to go to Russia.
No, I'm not going to Russia.
No?
No.
Just
I
don't
have no desire.
don't
to
pull
go
a
to
Brittany
Russia.
Geiner and accidentally have some of your weed in your carry-on.
Yeah, no, I have no desire to go to Russia.
Did you guys see? Did you guys see the video clip that I posted in our chat room from the Conservative Brothers about Brittany Griner?
Got 10 seconds, so after we get back.
Outlaw Radio. Stay tuned.
Yeah, we can play that clip.
.com.
Motherfuckers. Sometimes I swear on Facebook, but
Philip
never
just
on
gave me
AM.
the finger.
Unlike Paul, unlike Tom,
Hey, I haven't reset the count.
unlike Trojo,
I've never reset the count.
I am a radio professional and a blessing, not only to this station, but to all of you who enjoy the show. You're welcome.
To the millions.
And millions!
Shut it.
So,
And Paul's
It's
hearing
not
is
good for his
gone.
concussion.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're really blowing out my eardrums. As bad as Paul.
That's messed up, dude.
do me
I
a favor.
asked you before.
Andy, take off
man,
your
holy
headphones just for a
cow.
second.
Like,
Hello, Paul. Are you okay?
You come up with a different mixer board with a limiter.
Oh.
Have the technology.
So here's what Congress is looking at. The White House, Joe Biden's White House, in addition to trying to copyright the recipe for rum raisin ice cream, they've announced a whole bunch of intelligence policies in May. They brokered an agreement
Intelligence
with,
policies? What's wrong with that statement?
artificial intelligence policies. Sorry.
AI policies.
Yeah, AI policies. They have brokered a number of voluntary safety commitments from AI companies. Again, these are voluntary agreements. There's no weight behind them. It included commitments from both internal and external parties that test AI products to make sure that they're secure against cyber attacks and guard against the misuse by bad actors. Yeah, how could that go wrong? They did, though, have a really interesting meeting with Adobe. Adobe is the company that does a lot of Photoshops and editing software. They run all the
PDFs,
all the PDF acrobats, all of that. They're probably one of the, if not the biggest, one of the largest players in this arena. They came out and had a meeting with Congress where they basically said, and this was back in July, not only would we not try to get in the way of you regulating this stuff, we actually want you to regulate this stuff, and we will not stand in your way. They have asked for Congress to pass legislation that would give artists the ability to opt out or basically stop AI from using their stuff, and AI companies would have to use that. Now, they talk about artists, that'd be musicians, actors, actresses, all of that, but that could be expanded as well to candidates, to photography, to just anybody whose stuff could be utilized. On top of that,
that's kind of what's happening with the writer's strike.
Yep. And that's part of the big things at the writer's strike. Now, I know that a lot of people on social media are all snarky about how, oh, my life hasn't changed since the writer's strike took in. I'm not missing anything. Shut up. I would like to see Yellowstone come back at some point. Adobe has also created a program called Firefly. And if you haven't heard about Adobe Firefly, read up on it. It's a really cool program. But what it does is it allows anything that's created to go into Firefly, and Adobe software will detect, was it created by AI? Was it modified by AI? Every single action that was done on that file gets broken out like a list. And so
that's the only thing that's saving teachers right now.
Is it Firefly?
Yeah, because there's kids literally going, write an essay on whatever, make a book report on XYZ.
Moby Dick.
Yep.
Yeah.
And if they're smart, they're taking off the top portion that says, this was generated by Google AI. But
if they're not smart, they're leaving it on there and getting an F.
They're getting an F.
I firmly believe that this is the biggest threat to our country and our democracy above everything else. Because if we can't even trust the things we hear, see, and read at any level, at least 5 years ago, if you heard Donald Trump make a comment, you knew it was Donald Trump making the comment.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you don't even know if it's Donald Trump making the comment. And we could create something in AI completely outrageous. And if people heard Donald Trump's voice saying it, they'd believe it was Donald Trump because that guy got no filter and he says stupid crap all the time. And so I really believe this could be the downfall to our society.
I don't think so.
To our democracy, to everything.
I think people are going to adjust, and I think people are going to step away from tech so much that I honestly, I think this is going to make people connect again. Because Tom, we've been so you're missing the point.
Truly, I think you
primates.
live in such a lovely
we are primates. You are a fancy monkey. We are all fancy monkeys.
Yes.
And monkeys are communal animals.
All I want to do is fling poo. I don't want to actually think.
Well, you don't really have to, but primates,
so I use technology.
Primates are community animals. We're going to step away from the screen and the microphone, and we're going to start meeting each other in public places again, because that's the only way you know the person you're talking to is real.
I think we saw some of that after COVID. Like, I think we saw a rebound. Like, one of the articles I was reading today is the resurrection of the American mall. How 5 years ago, all the news was malls are dead.
Yep.
DEAD dead. And if you look at it now, malls are flourishing.
The little boutique ones are, yeah.
Well,
they're
even
turned into interesting places.
Even Kitsap Mall, right?
I haven't been up there.
They've
in
gotten
years.
away from some of the big box retailers, but they've gotten into some of these smaller kind of niche shops, and they've kind of reinvented themselves. Now, again, the Kitsap Mall still got a pretty high empty storefront
Vacancy
rate.
Yeah.
But again, I think you're right in some ways, especially after COVID. People were like, well, I'm kind of over shopping on Amazon. I'm kind of over ordering stuff and having it delivered.
Well,
I like going out to the store. Like, I know a lot of people that order groceries and have it delivered to home. F all of you. I want to hold my zucchini in my hand.
Yep, I want to pick my own tomatoes.
I want to look at the bananas and make sure that they're not overly ripe. Shut up, boss baby. I want to look at my fruits and vegetables and make sure I'm picking out what I think looks best.
Are you talking about your eggplant?
My eggplant, yeah.
I'm not even.
I want to hold the I want to feel the peach in my hands before I purchase it. But I think people are getting back to that.
Well, they are, and when I say people are going to go out and meet one another again, I'm not talking about stepping away from Amazon. You're still going to shop on Amazon. I shop on Amazon.
Well,
it's
phone codes
convenient.
I do not.
But it's convenient when you need something that you just can't get easy.
Things
you
change.
go click and it shows up.
Like, think 100 years ago, ordering things through the mail was very normal. The Sears catalog. And then things transition. And
But
then they transit. So the things change.
Yeah, everything ebbs and flows. But I think our social interactions are going to go back to in person, in a public place and interacting like we used to.
I think my generation is messing y'all up.
I don't think so. Oh,
we don't.
Millennials.
Yeah. Well, remember, I'm that baby
I'm not
child
sure
in the corner. We don't even want to pick up the phone. We want to text. We want to Instacart. If I didn't have a dog, I can't tell you if I would go outside except for to come to this radio station.
Right, but what?
Because I work from home.
But then you have Gen Z who's changing that up as well.
Yeah. And what happens when you check in with somebody on whatever your choice of technology platform is? How do you know they're real? How do you know you're talking to a person and not an AI?
Did we not have this conversation yesterday, Kevin?
We did for sure. Yeah. Listen, I totally agree with you in regards to some shopping things. What I don't agree with you on is when it comes to the rest of it, when it comes to politics, when it comes to news and information, because
none of it's going to be trustworthy.
Well, that's my point.
Yeah.
And so how are you going to know if your candidate does or does not support abortion? How are you going to know if they do or don't support the death penalty? How do you know if they are or are for or are against securing the southern border? Because any Yahoo dipwad with a laptop can create whatever AI they want to make that is then going to make it say whatever they want to. You could create AI today that has Joe Biden say something like, I firmly support a woman's right to choose, but at this point in our nation's history, I believe we need to ban abortion until we can figure out a nationwide solution. And that would seem like a reasonable political argument, but it's the exact opposite of what he believes.
Right. No,
I don't know. It sounded too coherent for Joe.
So really, I think what's going to happen is, the political rallies are going to come back. You're going to hear it directly from the horse's mouth. That's what I'm getting at. People are going to... that they're going to seek out in-person stuff. Technology is not going to be trustworthy anymore.
And people will vet, they will have their trusted sources. And those trusted sources, the job they have to do, the information they present being accurate will be more important than the information itself.
Yep.
And
almost like there used to be media sources and news sources that were like that.
But that's my big concern, right? That's why I think we have a larger issue now. Is that if people can't get verifiable information that's accurate, and we know the media is not going to give us verifiable, accurate information because it's all going to be slanted, right?
Well, they haven't been for years.
Right. So that's not going to change.
It's slanted left.
Most of it.
Most
of it. You said
yeah.
it's slanted, right?
Well, yeah, slanted comma, right? But it's slanted left for the most part.
No
so
Asian
we know the
remarks.
media. We know the media is not going to give it to us, and now we can't even trust the stuff that we vet ourselves. Like just the challenge to a guy like Paul, right? Paul vets everything. Paul researches everything. He goes down rabbit holes, all of that. Now Paul can't even be 100% sure that the information he's finding and vetting is actually accurate or real because some 12-year-old in his mom's basement with a laptop might have made the AI document, right, Paul?
Well, I mean, your point's 1,000% correct, Kevin. So
end the show. Thank you. Good night, everybody.
With one exception. So what you got to do is you have to vet back to the source material, and that's always going to be the key. Always find the source material. Then ask yourself, what side of the political aisle do they lean on? If it always be suspect of something that is reinforcing whoever owns the source site is if they are trying to promote what they believe in or not. If it's neutral, you're going to know it. You're going to know it. And it's going to be more likely than not to be true if it's something that goes against source site's bias.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't think that the average person, I mean, you will, right? Because you understand this stuff and you vet it and you dig. But we've already talked about the fact that I think most Americans are stupid lemmings that will follow whatever the easiest path is to get the answer that they want to believe is correct. And if you have to think or research or vet before you can determine if you think that's accurate or not, it'll never happen. They won't do that.
Critical thinking skills are in short supply.
And they're not taught in the schools like they used to be.
No,
and
not at all.
No.
They're busy with the critical race theories.
Yeah,
Lori's 100% correct on that.
I'm terrified, man. I really am.
No critical thinking skills.
I am terrified about all of that. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, more topic, more discussion. I'm going to look in the chat during Facebook and see if we have any comments to read. And yeah, more of the second verse, same as the first. Paul, Black Tom, Lori, Boss Baby, Bob Ross, and myself, K-Dog.
And DJD.
And DJD. He's around here somewhere.
OutlawRadioNetwork.com.
But we're not there yet. He hasn't started playing Bump, so I'm stalling.
Yeah.
OutlawRadioNetwork.com.
.com?
.com. Back after this. Here on Mega Talk.
.com.
Shut up! Outlaw Radio. Hey, by the way, guess what I got? I got tickets to go see.
I was going to say, is it contagious?
Oh! No, I know that since Paul's not here, you're going to play the role of Paul. Whatever.
So what'd you get tickets
I'll curse
for?
at you like I curse at Paul. That's fine.
What tickets did you get?
Whose line is it anyway?
No.
Is coming to the Admiral Theater.
I wanted to go see that. Oh,
But-
here?
Here?
Wayne
What?
Brady's not in.
Wayne Brady's not in
He
it,
is
but all
the
the other
best.
guys are.
Really? What day?
Are
Are there tickets left still?
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know.
I would love to go.
I got a good buddy that works there. I didn't get him for free. I paid for my tickets.
Could the good buddy help me get tickets?
I can see if there's some available.
Okay.
October 6th. It's a Friday night, 7:30 to 9:30. Whose line is it anyway? Oh, they're there 2 nights.
Oh.
6th and the 7th.
Wow.
So
At the Admiral
Saturday
Theater.
as well?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, there's
Nice.
going to be a great show at the end of September. I want to go catch. So the band live is doing an acoustic set.
So I'm trying to see.
The band live.
Yeah, it's all the same normal guys.
you
It's a
know-
guy from How I Met Your Mother and yeah.
You mean Neil Patrick Harris?
No. The guy
No.
that played not How I Met Your Mother. Sorry, 2.5 Men. Remember, he was married to Alan's ex-wife. That guy right there. By Brian Stiles.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot he was on there.
Yeah. Improv and all that. Freaking awesome. I'm looking forward to that. And then I have tickets later this year to go see Kim Jong, who's coming to he's coming to Suquamish Clearwater Casino.
Kim Jong-un?
No.
All right, 10 seconds.
Ken Jung.
Oh,
Outlaw Radio.
Shut! I'm talking.
You gotta.
Hey, K-Dog, you just got the finger from Phil.
I did. Finger me, Philip. I want a T-shirt.
Only if you bleach first.
I want a T-shirt that says. I want a T-shirt that says "Finger me, Philip." That's what I want.
Hold on. You
totally
who won't
missed that.
get the needed appropriate medical procedures want that?
Yeah,
No.
I am never,
Don't say it. Don't say it.
ever going to get a finger to my prostate. That is not going to happen. We're not doing the exam. It's not going to happen.
Just let the flavor of the month.
So look at this. We got everyone except Boss Baby on the air, video-wise.
Yeah, and you know what I have to say to that?
And nobody can see it.
We'll say it.
Exactly.
Oh, wow.
I don't think she can say that right now. Aren't we on AM?
Yeah, we're on AM.
Yeah, I believe.
Oh, wait a minute. No, he got canceled.
Who?
Oh no.
Kim Jong.
Oh, really?
Yeah, thanks for the info in the chat there, John. I appreciate that. Guests who purchase tickets will receive an automatic refund and will not be required to take any action. Refunds can take up to 30 days, but may be applied to the original payment method or of sooner. Guests will need to check the original payment to ensure the refund was applied.
What happened?
I used a different card though for that I don't have anymore. I think.
Oh,
No whoops.
what happened?
It's scheduling conflicts is all it says. Well, I am mad. That is upsetting.
Where was he supposed to play?
Up at Clearwater Casino.
Oh,
well,
I'm
God
sure we
bless
can
it.
catch him in Vegas.
I'm already thinking about my next Vegas trip.
Vegas.
Paul, when do you want to go to Vegas?
I'm married.
I want to go to Vegas next weekend.
Do you?
But
What's next
one-
weekend?
Here's the thing.
Yeah,
Last
just,
time Kevin asked me to go to Vegas,
You need to talk
Kevin
closer
says-
to your mic, Paul. Talk closer to your microphone.
My microphone's in my headphones.
Oh,
Yeah.
get it closer to your mouth. Then you sound very airy.
Listen, no, it's in the headphones.
I know, but now
It's
you're
fine
louder
now.
when you say
Anyway.
like that. Yeah.
Anyway, the last time you asked me to go to Vegas,
Huh?
you on air, you were like, "Oh, it's okay, Paul. All you got to do is pay for your food. I got your airfare covered. I got your hotel covered." And then 2 weeks later, you're like, "Hey, dude, your airfare is only like $250." So I'm like, "Yeah, no, I can't make it, man. I'm married."
No, hold on. I was totally willing to buy your ticket, but I didn't think you were going to go. Like, I thought you'd back out at the last second. Like, I thought you'd have a work thing or a wife thing or.
Oh no, I totally
something.
asked her. I said, "If Kevin pays for my ticket, are you okay?" She's like, "Hell yeah, go." It's like, if Kevin's paying for it, you go right ahead. Then I told her like 2 weeks later, it's like, "Yeah, Kevin kind of reneged on it." So
I did
and I
not
don't wanna put him
renege
out
on
by
it.
being a
Don't
douche.
be like that. You know what I just realized is I still have a voucher that I got to use by January.
You better get on it.
Let me ask
better
you a
get on
question.
it.
What is it? What is
would
it
love
that
to
you
use
like?
that.
And I mean this with all due sincerity because I've never been there. Right? What is it that you like about going to Vegas so much? Is it the sounds, the lights, the atmosphere?
There's always
the
something
attractions?
to do.
The hook your
Well, they
the
don't
hooker
call it
credit
Sin
card.
City for nothing.
First of all,
I
Philip,
didn't say someone.
let me correct you. There are no hookers in Vegas. I mean, there's no legal hookers in Vegas.
And who said anything
Pro-
about that? I
but I'm
said
just
they
saying-
pass out the trading cards.
Prostitution is not legal in Clark County, which is where Vegas is. It is legal in Pahrump, but
Which is
Pahrump
like
is in a
5
different
minutes
county.
away.
It's not far away, but that's where like the Bunny Ranch.
It's
and
like
all
going
that stuff
from
is.
Gorse to Belfair.
Wait, isn't that where Art Bell is from?
I don't know where Art Bell's from. That's a good question.
Yes.
It is like
Oh.
going from Gorse to Belfair. It's about that much of a difference. You can do it. I've never been out to Pahrump. I do want to go out to Pahrump just because I'd love to get a picture of the outside of that place. Just add it to the list of things I've seen down there. Why do I go? Here's why. I'm going to illustrate this with a picture for you. I was down there for the Manny Pacquiao Floyd Mayweather weekend.
I was in San Diego for that.
When I bought the ticket and planned my trip, it was before they'd finalized the date. So if I had tried to do it after the date, tickets would have been sky high and I wouldn't have been able to go. But so I had the tickets. So I go down. The strip is packed, Paul. There's 250,000 people on the strip. Okay. I walk out of my hotel room. I stayed that weekend. I think I stayed at Luxor. And I walk down past New York, New York. In front of New York, New York, there's a partial replica of the Brooklyn Bridge. Okay. At the time, it was just pedestrian thoroughfare. Now they block it off and have big screens and play bands and stuff up there. But at the time, you could walk across the Brooklyn Bridge. And they had blocked a small part of it off. And there was a guy playing acoustic music on a guitar hooked up to the speakers that were hanging from the top of the bridge. And if you walked out amongst that 250,000 people and you closed your eyes, you just hear that guy doing music. It is a surreal place to me that you can have one guy with an acoustic guitar and 250,000 people around him, and the chaos and the lights and the noise and the cards being hung out and the naked billboards driving down the street and all that, right? It is such a surreal. I just love Vegas. I love everything about it. Everything. I don't gamble much. I didn't used to drink much. I drink more when I go. I don't do anything illegal. I don't go clubbing. I don't go to Pahrump. There's just something about just wandering the strip and seeing it. And I can do a Vegas trip for pretty cheap just because I'm not a big gambler, drinker, partier guy. So.
Okay. I was just, like if you and I have talked about this a lot over the years, and it's like, I get it. It's more of a personality, like a Kevin's personality kind of thing, like if you gave me a choice, hey, Paul, do you want to go to, Gettysburg National Monument or Vegas, right? I would choose Gettysburg. It's just because of your personality. So you enjoy the atmosphere. I get it. That's cool. That's a totally valid reason to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, what would you do? Like, where have you been that you would go again in a heartbeat?
Good question.
But for some people, I think it's going to a different place every time is the going to Vegas. There's so much to do in Vegas. You can always go back and find new things.
Yeah.
I think for some people, it's go to different places every time.
It might be. The most beautiful spot I've ever been to in my life is where I have my gold claim. So getting up there into the mountains, being able to look out and see, probably nap of the earth, however far that is, 200 or some odd miles out into eastern Washington, is just I would rather go to a place like that and have the peace and quiet and be at one with nature and be able to completely relax and unwind. But that's like, it doesn't mean that I wouldn't, for example, like to go to Vegas. I would still, I'd like to visit everywhere at least once. There's nowhere that I wouldn't like to visit.
I'm amazed in your life you have not been to DC. Like, if there's a place that I think has Paul written all over it, it's DC.
Oh, I'd love to go to DC, but the crime is too high there.
No, I didn't have any issues when I was there before. I mean, it's gotten worse since I was there in 2018. It's gotten worse for sure.
Maybe he's talking about crime inside the White House.
Oh, maybe. I'll tell you this, though.
Right?
I'll tell you this, though. DC down in the Capital District, part of DC, where all the legislative buildings and stuff are, there's not a lot of crap down there. Not a lot of crime, not a lot of homeless, not a lot of that. They keep it all away from there. But I went because I got an Airbnb when I went there before, and I stayed there for a week. So I figured I'll go out to Walmart and just pick up some groceries. So I have some groceries at the Airbnb because I'm not going to want to eat out all the time. Yeah, don't do that. Don't go to the Walmart in DC, because the minute you get out of the corridor around all the federal buildings and stuff, boy, it's shaky. It's a questionable place.
So you had it on the first 5 words. Don't go to the Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Anyway, Paul, I would really, if you could figure out a time we could go, I would love to go to DC with you. And the best part about DC is all you pay for is your flight and your hotel and whatever transportation you're going to use. Everything in DC is free as far as the Smithsonian museums, all the monuments, And there's seven or nine Smithsonian's. Library of Congress is free to get into. All that stuff is free. The only museum I paid to go into when I was there in 2018 was the Bible Museum.
Really? The Bible Museum of all places charged you?
Well, because it's a nonprofit. Everything else is paid for by taxpayer funds, but this is a nonprofit, and so they have to pay for their stuff and their bills.
What an awesome way to draw people into your religion by like putting you can like draw this little circle on the ground and just tell them, say, take whatever money's in your wallet, throw it up in the air. If it lands in the circle, or no, better yet, you just throw it up in the air and say whatever God wants, he keeps.
Whatever, Paul.
Yeah, I saw that movie.
They have to collect money. They got to pay the bills and power the lights and all that stuff. And listen, they've got a couple like Gutenberg Bibles in there that are visible, and they've got some of the clay tablets that were dug up in Jerusalem on display, and it's a very cool. Philip's given this thoughtful
like clay tablets
or whatever.
I've heard of the scrolls on papyrus, but
I don't know. Whatever. I don't know. They've got
scrolls.
They got a lot of Philip. If you get a chance to go there, go there. I mean, it's 3 stories of biblical artifacts.
Weren't the 10 Commandments on tablets? Is that
but
what he's talking about?
Those weren't in Jerusalem.
Originally, it was the 15. Then they broke one, so it was only 10 commandments.
That's right. He dropped it. What do you think the other 5 commandments would have been, Philip? What do you think? If you were God and you had to have 5 more commandments.
I can't think on my feed.
The 11th commandment is do not cook bacon in the oven.
That's
oh, Lord.
The 12th commandment is know thy role and shut thy mouth. I think. Yeah.
I was going to say Old Testament.
Wow, Kevin,
there was
you
no bacon.
that one.
I know a lot of people who need that one.
It's like Old Testament. There would be no bacon allowed anyway.
Yeah,
that's true. Actually,
well,
that's true.
And Kevin's favorite, the 13th, would be the no anal sex.
Are we going to go to that conversation again, Paul? Let's say that till 10:30.
Wow.
We'll say that till 10:30.
What did I walk into?
Yep, exactly, Tom. You leave for a second, and Paul's talking about anal sex.
Tom, it was
whatever you do in your
heavy,
free time, Paul.
We were talking about how Mary Magdalene was supposed to be the head of the church, not Paul. Oh, it was getting deep, dude.
Oh, it got super deep.
By the way,
now we're talking about anal sex and deep.
Yeah. Remember, this segment of Paul talking about anal sex is brought to you by Grindr. Find Paul's profile on Grindr.
Oh no, Kevin, you got that wrong. You should have said Brittany Griner.
Brittany Griner.
Find Paul on Brittany Griner.
This whole thing's starting to sound like a sewer grinder.
Find Paul on Brittany Griner. Yeah, boss baby.
This sounds like oil and water to me.
I'm confused.
Paul, I didn't know you had a thing for Brittany Griner.
Well, after seeing the Hodge twins play that video, I was just kind of shaking my head, and it was Brittany Griner around the pool, and she's got her shirt off, and they're like, "Is anybody going to say it? Is anybody going to say it?" They're like, "That chick's a dude,"
and she's not a dude. Stop it.
And oh, really? Have you seen
she's
the video?
Not a dude. No, but
have
she's
you seen
not
the
a dude.
video?
Stop it. She's an athlete. Hold on. She's an athlete.
So what does athlete have to do with it?
Has she had top surgery?
I don't have any idea.
It didn't look like it, and
we are so mean to people.
No,
we don't agree. I don't mean you.
It.
I mean just we as society are so mean to people because we don't agree with them. Like, oh, we think she's a piece of crap because she slammed America. Now we're going to ask maybe she's really a man.
No,
I mean,
there's a big difference between being mean and asking a legitimate question.
Outlaw Radio. Hold on, we'll do this more in a second. Hold
.com.
You're only allowed to go, boy.
Remember the Lemmings?
Oh, that game?
Yeah.
I have it on my arcade.
Really?
Yeah, it's one of the games on my arcade.
What year was this from?
The 80s.
Yeah.
92?
I don't know. It was on the Amiga.
I don't remember
I bet you this was prior to my birth.
I don't remember
Everything was prior to your birth.
No, not that many things. Some things.
February 14th, 1991 is when it was originally released on the Amiga.
Dang, Kevin, I was alive.
I don't remember this.
Okay.
Oh, Lemmings was a great game.
Did you have a Commodore Amiga?
No.
It was like Tetris before Tetris. I mean, as far as using your brain and figuring out how to
Tetris.
Yeah.
No, but we had the table pong.
Oh, like
we had
I
the
remember
real
Pong
because
from
we
when I was
had
a kid.
we had
With the
restaurants.
dials?
I was engaged. I was engaged to a woman, Paul Newer, back in the day. But she had a cocktail table version of Miss Pac-Man. And
they might have had that too.
I should have married her just to get that in the divorce.
Damn.
Anyway.
Damn.
Yeah.
Man, I can't wait to have my Xbox stolen in this divorce. This is
I know.
rude.
Just what I need, another Xbox.
Rude.
You know, I think I have owned in my entire life since like Atari forward. I think I've owned one game console.
I just got my first one yesterday, Tom. Yesterday.
Yes, Dennis?
It's really cool considering her shirt that she's in here talking about her box.
Xbox.
Oh, it's her old one.
Yeah.
The 14th commandment.
I bought it from a boy.
Okay, so Kevin Nelson's got some good ones ready. The 14th commandment would be don't date Britney Spears. I think dating her is fine, but marrying her is probably the 14th commandment. Do not marry Britney Spears.
We're so mean to people, Kevin. We're so mean.
No.
Why you gotta say that? Why you gotta say that,
hold
Kevin?
on. I've watched
So
every
mean.
single one of her marriages go down in a really, really bad way. Like, I never thought I'd feel bad for Kevin Federline, but I kind of felt bad for Kevin Federline. And the 15th commandment, never root for the Cowboys. Kevin, I can get behind that. John says her voice alone. Whose voice?
I would guess
Brittany Griner's.
Brittany Griner.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never heard. I don't think I've heard her voice.
It's pretty alto.
It is. But listen, she's a female athlete.
Yes.
She's. I mean, I'm not
Until
saying
we hear differently.
I'm not saying she's taking testosterone or anything. I mean, I'm sure that the WNBA has to make them do tests for things like that. So
performance enhancing
stuff. So, but there's some women that just
Is that performance enhancing if
Yes.
she's planning to go through the change?
Well, then she's not eligible
That's
for
a
the WNBA anymore.
I don't know the
That's a
rules.
great question.
I'm asking a question.
But then she's no longer eligible for WNBA.
What is there a TNBA?
sure?
I don't know.
No, but there's an NBA.
Well, what do you do in the meantime? Because
listen,
there's a meantime.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that.
People are all over her because of her anti-American stance,
Yep.
and then getting arrested
Still?
in Russia.
Yeah.
No, but people,
That's why we hate her.
I mean,
We,
that-
I
as the
agree.
people.
No, I agree.
but I don't.
Some people still don't like Jane Fonda.
Yeah, so and nor should they.
Anyway,
yeah.
Jane.
Jane Fonda is a world apart from Brittany Griner. Okay, Brittany Griner basically exercised her First Amendment right and then fucked up in Russia. Okay, Jane Fonda actively supported the North Vietnamese while we were at war with them,
Yeah.
and basically rooted against American soldiers. The fact that bitch didn't go to prison for a really long time still baffles my brain.
I'm just saying, people don't forget.
I don't.
No, especially if you're a Vietnam era vet.
I've never seen a Jane
My
Fonda
dad-
movie, and I never will. Yes, Paul.
Listen,
My dad.
My dad's
Yeah.
claim to fame was being an MP and getting to arrest her, put her in handcuffs, and put her in the paddy wagon during the Vietnam War in
what?
Seattle.
Oh,
Because she was just protesting.
Okay.
Yeah, I've only
And-
seen one
and-
Jane Fonda movie
but-
with Henry Fonda.
But he was very proud of that moment, and
Yeah, he
and
should be. Should have been, yeah.
He had no qualms letting people know it, and he routinely called her "see you next Tuesday" kind of gal. So
Yeah, I just listen. You can protest against the wars all you want. You know what I mean? Like, you can disagree with the war,
and
you can
in
protest.
some cases, maybe you should.
Generally,
But
good
you
libertarian.
shouldn't.
but you never
principle.
stick your face out at the expense of our vets,
Or your-
because
yeah.
nobody asked anybody, "Hey, how would you feel about going to Vietnam?" Nobody asked them and gave them an option.
All right, 10 seconds.
They were either in the military or they got drafted and they got sent by their nation. You support them regardless of whether you support the action. Outlaw Radio.
outlawradio.com.
Stop.
Greed, deception, abuse of power, that's no plan. I'm the enemy. Because I like to think. I like to read. I'm into freedom of speech and freedom of choice. I'm the kind of guy who likes to sit in a greasy spoon and wonder, gee, should I have the T-bone steak or the jumbo rack of barbecue ribs with the side order of gravy fries? I want high cholesterol. I want to eat bacon and butter and buckets of cheese, okay? I want to smoke a Cuban cigar the size of Cincinnati in the non-smoking section. I want to run through the streets naked with green jello all over my body reading Playboy magazine. Why? Because I suddenly might feel the need to, okay, pal? I've seen the future. You know what it is? It's a 47-year-old virgin sitting around in his beige pajamas, drinking a banana broccoli shake, singing, I'm an Oscar Mayer winner.
You're listening to the Outlaw Radio Network.
OutlawRadioNetwork.com.
The chat room is getting spammed.
I think that's Thai.
People in Arabic.
I'm pretty sure that's Thai.
Can I see it?
Yeah.
I think that's Arabic, man.
Arabic and Thai look really close.
What's funny is, though, I don't see it on my feed at all.
Huh.
But do you have authorization to block that? Report
No,
comments?
I'm just a lowly... Oh.
There's an option in StreamYard to block the user.
Well, but are they posting it in StreamYard or are they posting it on...
It's in Facebook. I'm just saying it connects
It's in Facebook.
Yeah. I don't see it. So if any of you that have admin privileges can go in there and do something about it, let me know.
It's in progress.
Yeah. I don't have an issue with people coming in and, from other nations, whatever, on our chat, but please post it in a way that we can
interact,
that we can actually understand what you're saying. That's one thing I hate about life. That's one thing I hate about riding the ferry and people on the ferry speaking other languages. Like, I can't eavesdrop on their conversation. Like, what are you guys doing?
So you ever walk up to him, excuse me, could you speak up? I'm having trouble eavesdropping.
Yeah. Oh my God. You know what my newest pet peeve is before we go back to topics? People in public on their speakerphone.
Oh, we had that today. We're at
Good Lord.
the little walk-in teriyaki restaurant over near Safeway.
Yeah.
And like ladies, she's not just on speakerphone, she's like on a video conference with probably family, whatever, it's some boomer lady. But it's like, really, lady? Everyone in the restaurant's listening to this.
Oh my God, I absolutely hate it.
And my wife with her cochlear implant, she's like, I hear everything.
Yeah. Boss baby.
I have not seen my
What's wrong with your mic again? Is your mic muted?
No.
Try it again.
It's not going to work.
It just doesn't like her.
State of the art equipment. Here,
hang on.
I don't like to do that.
Now it works. Well, it did.
Way to go, Ponzi.
All right, she's giving up. All right, that's my new pet peeve. I think that people who do that should be caned, publicly caned.
Which is ironic, being in the Chinese and Japanese
Your
restaurant.
mic's not on either.
It's on.
No, it's not.
No, it is. When you hit it, it's doing this. Hold on. Keep talking.
Okay. How do you feel about people?
I wonder if something got bumped.
Talking
Keep talking.
while they're sitting on the toilet.
Keep talking.
Oh my God.
Oh. In a public, I won't even do that at home.
Not on speaker.
I think something might have gotten bumped out of the back
phone
of this
call while
box.
I'm on the can. No, while I'm on the can, that is my time. I will not
Okay,
divide
boss
that
baby.
time
There we go.
with anyone
Boss
else.
baby, you and I were
You're
on a
fixed.
phone call while I was on the ferry in the bathroom.
I replicated the dentist technique, which is you cycle things on and off on the touchscreen, and it works again.
Try again.
Can you hear me?
Well, I heard you tap it, but when you talk, we can't hear you. Okay. Bathrooms are the worst. Somebody being on there. I walked into I work at the Kids Have Great Escape.
Yeah.
On the weekends, and I walked in the restroom there, and there was a guy standing at the urinal holding his dilly bar with one hand and holding his cell phone with the other one, talking as he peed. And I just thought, well, that's weird. You people are weird. That's bizarre.
Now, maybe I'm oversharing here, but here goes.
You already are. I
So
know.
back during the COVID Zoom meeting season,
Yeah.
It's back again.
it was nice. You could just mute your audio, turn off your video, but still be in the meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Take care of your business.
You totally could, yeah.
And it was real easy because you didn't have to wear pants. So,
well, listen, I work from home 4 days a week. I only have to go into the office 1 day a week. So the other days I'm working at home, and I'm certainly probably wearing my boxers or pajama bottoms.
Are you really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
See, I have to dress like I'm going to work.
Not me.
I have a buddy of mine who does a lot of like Zoom stuff 5 days a week. He's very seldom in the office, so he'll put on a dress shirt and a tie because he has to, and then he's in his boxers or pajama pants or something.
I have a dress shirt near me so that if I have to get on a Zoom call with somebody, I'll throw it on.
Yeah.
But normally I'm wearing pajama bottoms or sweats and a t-shirt or jeans and a t-shirt.
Yeah, no, he's on camera all day. He doesn't get a choice.
Yeah, I got a face made for radio.
Yeah. You do.
I just have to make sure my shirt is appropriate from about, collarbone up because the only person I'll be on camera with is my mom, and she knows how inappropriate I am.
Oh, there you go.
So
Paul's very quiet over there. Paul, what are you doing?
You wouldn't wear that shirt.
Paul, are you alive?
Oh.
Yes, I'm listening.
Yeah.
What's
See,
going on,
I
buddy?
just do the
He got
meetings
bonked
up
in the
above.
head.
You got a head bonk.
Yep. How are you feeling, Paul?
With my fingers and toes. No, I
Was
I mean,
not expecting that.
I feel it. I feel it. I'll say that. I feel it for sure. For sure.
Yeah, I have a family member who's had 6
Ooh,
concussions
that's
in the
too
last
many.
5 years due to different accidents. So
That's
please, please,
insane.
please
One
take
is
it
enough for
careful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's too many. I mean,
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
It
my
is.
lifetime count, I think I've had 3. One was very severe, but I mean, that's too many.
Mm-hmm.
You dropped a door on your head, dude.
It wasn't just the door; it was the door, the side light, the framing. It was all of it.
Yeah, all man. It dented your head, dude. Oh my god.
Yep.
Hey, there's a.
Was the door okay?
I'm gonna read this to you guys really quick.
Yeah.
Tell me what you
Chicks
guys think
digs
about
cars.
this. Tell me what you guys think about this. A pediatrician group called the American Academy of Pediatrics came out this week and said that they are advocating to ban corporal punishment in our schools. No more spanking of children.
Does that even
That's
happen
even a
anymore?
thing?
Well,
Maybe
so,
not in our state.
So, according to this, the use of corporal punishment has dropped over the years, but it is either expressly allowed or not expressly banned in 23 states. And they also believe that corporal punishment is probably underreported in schools. So, at least in 23 states, it's still allowed. So, it's still allowed.
Does it count if I dated a teacher?
So, according to their report, African Americans and disabled children are more likely to be the brunt of corporal punishment. Black girls in the U.S. are 3 times more likely to be struck than white girls. Black boys are twice as likely to be struck than white boys, according to their studies.
And drunk teachers are more likely to do that.
They
Striking.
instead suggest that, and the AAP, which is the abbreviation for the group, has basically said that what they want to see instead is positive approaches. They said that they show a strong association between corporal punishment and lower academic achievements, lower test scores, and higher rates of dropout. They say that positive behavior interventions and supports is an evidence-based intervention program that's funded by the U.S. government, and it provides teachers and schools with training how to focus on positive behaviors. Does anybody think corporal punishment still has a place in schools, or is this just a non-issue at this point?
I don't believe
think
it
it
does.
I was never a corporal punishment kind of parent with my kids, so I mean, I think there's better ways to go about discipline.
Okay, Lori?
I don't agree with corporal punishment in
At all? Like
schools.
it should be banned?
In schools. And my reasoning is because I don't know if you had this teacher, but my first day of school at Stanwood Middle School, in Stanwood School District,
Mm-hmm.
an algebra teacher took a young man because he said, "Good morning, sir," and he slammed him up against the wall with his feet dangling by his neck. And I went home to my parents and said, "What the F did you do to me? Why are we here?" Because I had come from a different school district. It was bad. So that's why I don't believe in corporal punishment in schools.
Mm-hmm.
What grade was that in?
8th grade.
Oh, I would have been in trouble if I were that student. Me as an 8th grader. Oh, I'd have killed that teacher.
Yeah. This young man was...
I'd have gouged that guy's eyes out and eaten his throat.
This young man was considerably smaller than the teacher. The teacher was probably about 6'3" and probably about 250 to 300 pounds.
Ooh.
And drunk off his bum.
Oh.
Wow.
He quit teaching shortly after that, didn't he?
No, he didn't.
Really?
No.
Wow.
The teachers kept covering for him. They would pick him up at the bar every morning and sober him up with coffee. It was bad.
Oh.
Yeah.
Paul, what do you think?
Well, I don't think it belongs. Nobody has the right to smack my kid except me.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. Anybody?
You know, that's that. It has a place. Corporal punishment has a place in the home, not in public.
Agreed. I think it's parents' choice,
Yep,
but I don't think
absolutely,
it
yeah.
belongs in the school. It gets it turns abusive.
Yeah, yeah, like I said, that 8th grade Tom would have gone to jail.
I don't know though, man. I'm not advocating for corporal punishment, but I remember being in elementary school in Stanwood, same school district as Lori, just a couple years behind her.
Mhm.
And I remember the principal having that paddleboard in their office with the holes drilled in it.
Mhm.
And I just remember thinking to myself, I am not getting that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the deterrent was there.
Right.
Now, people will say, well, you shouldn't have to scare kids and just blah, blah, blah. Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
But it kept me out of trouble.
Yeah.
Because I knew that I was not getting that paddle,
Yeah.
man. I'll tell you that right now. That was not going to happen.
Yeah, but Kevin, I've met your mom. Your mom seems like she was a really, really good mom. You don't seem like you were the kind of kid that had discipline problems.
I was far more afraid of my father than my mother. Because
Well-
my dad would go out back behind the house and cut a switch.
Okay.
Like if our behavior was egregious enough, he'd
Okay.
cut a switch.
And
Oh, he didn't make you do it?
No, listen, I'll tell you this right now. Fine story on my father. My brother got into a whole bunch of trouble. He stole some money out of the I think it was my mom's purse, and my dad found out. And, my brother knew he was going to get the switch, so he proceeded to stuff a whole bunch of pairs of underwear in his butt to try to cushion the blow. And Dad came in with a switch and saw that. Still got the switch on the back of his legs. So now they'd call that child abuse or whatever, but whatever. Paul, go ahead.
You know what, dude? I'm not gonna say it because I love you, Kevin.
What?
You were like, Kevin and discipline, and I know I never went. I'm like, the discipline was there right about till the time you joined the Navy, and then the wheels came off, right?
I think you're getting the middle finger salute right now, Paul.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. That's what it looks like. I mean, to have good, successful relationships, not just like one night stands and stuff, you got to have some discipline.
Why, I think we all.
No, I'm not saying Kevin. I'm not saying that Kevin was undisciplined in his, cavalier social.
Would you like me to
single
hold
life.
that shovel for you,
Hey,
Paul?
I would just like to point something out.
Keys to the backhoe.
Army-Navy game has been held 123 times.
Mm-hmm.
123.
Yep.
That's all.
Navy leads the series 62-54 with 7 ties.
Ooh.
So before you talk any smack there, Army boy, Navy leads the series against Army. So clearly we know who's more
does that have to
physically.
do with anything?
It just proves that we're more disciplined. We're more physical. We're more physically fit, more physically in shape, more decisive, more powerful, stronger, faster, harder, bigger.
Is that what you told the ladies?
Is that from women saying that you're harder?
I'm staying out of this.
I don't even know how to comment on this. You guys want to take this show and go in an adult direction? Like earlier, Paul's bringing up anal sex, and now you're talking about what women think about it being harder. Like, can you guys stay on task at least till 10:30? We can go adult content at 10:30 if you want to, but let's stay appropriate. There's still children listening to the show right now, and by
It
children,
just
I mean,
boggles my mind.
I mean Marjorie.
that Kevin's making a big deal about. He's like, we're so mean. We can't talk about Brittany Griner like that. He literally turns around, comes back from break, and starts doing the same thing about Britney Spears. Like, seriously, dude? And that's just why I bust Kevin's little balls sometimes.
But I'm not the one that
little
said
ones.
it. I just read the comment
the ones
from
that
the
sound
chat
like
about
BBs in a medicine bottle.
Wait a minute. I'm not the one that said the comment about Britney Spears. I was just reading a comment from chat. I was paying attention to what our listeners are saying in the chat and giving them the mouthpiece that they deserve to have. Now, if you want to censor Kevin Nelson, that's fine, Paul. You tell Kevin Nelson live in the chat, Kevin, I want to censor you. Go ahead.
I don't want to censor anybody.
Okay, then.
But
So don't get
I
on
just
my
think
ass
you're.
when
I
read
think you're.
comments in the
I think
chat.
you're. I think you're full of BS. But that's it's all good. You could have play the clip of Brittany Griner talking. Go find that clip in the chat room. Well, yeah, the clip from the two brothers. I forget.
All right, give me
their
a second.
name.
Let me find it. Hold on. Let me find it.
Since she's been home from incarceration in Russia, I haven't really heard a lot. I haven't looked either. I haven't gone digging, but I haven't heard much about any of her most recent,
Low
I guess,
profile.
political attitudes.
Listen, listen, she hasn't really said much. She's become outspoken towards people that are being held in Russia, understandably so. And I'm not, listen, she's the one that posted the video of herself topless playing basketball by the pool, okay? And she points out that she has a condition. It's called chicken chest or something like that. Really? Anyway, and then she goes on to speak, and the two brothers are pointing out, when you watch the video of her, I'm not saying she does, but it looks like she has an Adam's apple, okay? And just here, when she got over the last few months, since April or May, whatever it is she got back, there were a lot of people that were legitimately questioning whether or not she was transgender. After these pictures, this topless video came out of her. And listen, when we look at what's going on today, it's a legitimate question. And why can't people ask it?
Why is it a legitimate? Why is it a legitimate? Hold on, let me ask the full question, and then you can.
Sure. Go ahead.
Why is it a legitimate question when it comes down to her and her body and her life and her whatever? If she is transgender, she's an adult. Who cares?
That's not the issue.
She's pro.
That's for the league to figure out, though. That's between her and the league to figure out.
It doesn't matter. The fans still have a right to ask the question, don't they?
But you're not a fan of the WNBA, Paul. That's my point. You don't watch the games. You don't care.
Okay, but so I can't ask the question. I'm not allowed to ask the question. I'm asking you. Am I allowed to ask the question?
I don't understand why it matters to you.
But you don't have to. Listen, you don't. It's none of your business why it matters to me, is it? Because you're just telling me that I don't have the. Why do I ask the question?
Why you think what you think, but it's your business whether or not she has an Adam's apple?
No. Okay. I think you're really missing the whole context here.
Help me out.
If you're going to sit there and say, well, why does it matter to you, Paul? Well, the question really then comes back around to you're asking a question like that because in your mind, you don't think I have the right to ask the question. And I have the right to ask whatever question I want. When we live in a world where men are pretending to be women and playing women's sports and dominating. You're talking about a dominant female athlete in the WNBA. I didn't have any questions about it. I haven't followed her career. I don't know anything about her. I just know that suddenly she posted this video of herself playing topless basketball. And so the question is being asked and she's addressed it. Okay. Now, I'm not faulting her for the way that she addressed it. She handled it very classy. I didn't have any issue with how she addressed it. My point to you is that I certainly have the right to ask the question because other people are asking the question in a world where now some people accept it as normal that men pretending to be women are playing in women's sports. Okay. Yeah. I don't have an issue if she did all this stuff, if she was transgender, I could care less. I would care if she was a man at some point now playing in the WNBA. Then I would care.
Okay. Let me restate something. I think you have the right to have an opinion or ask whatever you want to ask, right? Like that's not what I'm saying. My question comes down to why is it something that matters to you? Does that make sense? Like I'm not saying you can't ask it, right? I'm only saying why is it something that matters to you? Why is this something that is important to you to care about when you're not a fan of the WNBA?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think I explained why. Yeah.
That's fine. That's why I asked the question.
Right. So a better way maybe to ask it, at least towards a dude like me, would have been something as simple as saying, hey, Paul, explain to us why this matters to you. Instead of saying, well, why do you care? Right? Then you sound like Jim Jordan asking Hillary Clinton about her emails in Benghazi. What difference does it make at this point? And but because the way that it sounded from my perspective was that you were dismissive of me asking the questions. Like I shouldn't be asking the questions, and why would it matter to me?
Well, I'm not responsible for how you took it.
We are creating a society now where to ask the question, a certain segment of society then puts you in a little box in an attempt to segregate you and diminish your voice.
Yeah, but you know me better than that.
Doesn't matter.
You know I'm not that guy. Hold on. You wanted to hear a clip of her talking. Philip, would you unmute my laptop, please? So this is a clip of Brittany Griner talking. Oh, hold on.
It's okay. You can play. I'm just saying, like I said, it
Some good
matters to
radio
me,
here.
especially if she kept it secret, right? And transitioned from male to female. That would be scandalous in my book. Playing college basketball as a woman, playing in the WNBA as a woman. And so, but remember, like we said, this is the year where you're not going to be able to believe your eyes. You're not going to be able to believe your ears, right? So these are all, to me, they're very legitimate questions to ask. Now, she answered them by saying that she has had this deformity, as she calls it, which more men suffer from than women, but they call it chicken chest. Because it makes she does not, when you see the topless videos of her, she does not appear to have any top, like she had top surgery.
Okay, I'm going to play this really quick. You just want to hear this?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
We'll play it.
Well, for just talking. Thank y'all for covering me and all the exposure that you gave me, my family. Man, that's deep. It's deeper than mine.
Anyway, listen, I think the questions are always fine. I just wonder why we have gotten to a point where we care about things that are not in our box. You know what I mean?
But that's not true. How can you sit there and say you don't understand how people would care? Again, you didn't play the video, and that's fine.
No, I thought you want to hear the whole thing.
Well, Kevin, when you put the two together, when you put the video together, the topless video of her playing basketball, and then you listen to her voice, look, maybe you don't want to ask the question, but I don't like men intruding on women's sports. I think that it's probably one of the most vile things that men can do in these days. I don't like it at all. And I think that I'm absolutely within my rights to ask those questions, especially
Hold
somebody in the
on.
media.
Outlaw Radio. We'll do more of this after the break. Hold on.
Don't do it. Don't.
Sorry.
And can I point out that I had this really good view of Tom's face right in the middle of the video when he heard the first two words out of Brittany Griner's mouth? He looked like a cartoon character, man. His jaw just dropped.
I had never heard Brittany Griner speak before.
Right, and so
I've read lots of articles, but I haven't.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, again, I can't stress to you enough to keep in mind. You've heard her voice. Now see the video of her.
And
I've
seen it.
Yeah.
And I got it on right now, so we can look.
And you put the two together, and you're just like, oh, damn. Okay.
It will raise questions. Yes.
That's the point. That's the whole point.
You make it difficult for me to ask the questions that I want to ask, Paul, because you take it personally when I ask the questions, and I'm not degrading you but I guess
I don't take it personally, brother.
My larger issue is, why would you waste the bandwidth on? Let's pretend she's trans. Let's pretend she's trans and the WNBA lets her play. Who cares? Like, I mean,
other women.
Oh no, obviously they don't, because nobody's speaking up about it.
That's not
so clearly
true. That's
they don't
why
care.
I just brought it up.
Nobody in the WA is complaining about her.
I just brought it. Speak up about the drunk teacher. Maybe someone needs to speak up.
He said the teachers weren't complaining about the drunk teacher earlier, and maybe people need to. Okay.
Listen, there's a validity there with regards to what he said. I do not believe that it is appropriate for someone who was a man to be playing sports with women. I don't believe that it's appropriate. I don't believe that it should be happening. And I have no problem voicing my displeasure with it. So therefore, I mean, look, it could be my daughter. They could, some boy could decide that he wants to play whatever sport my daughter's playing, right? And knock her ass into next week, because men are bigger, faster, and stronger. It is a real issue, whether whether you think that it is or it is. I mean, I know that it's a real issue. You just don't feel very strongly one way or another about it. I do.
Hold on. I got quotes from her about this when we come back. Outlaw
Ken.
Radio.
Yes,
Stick
she
around.
did have some good answers.
We're back after this on Mega Talk. Outlaw Radio. So we're talking about Brittany Griner. I'm gonna read comments that she had in here on.
Now, can I point out before you read those comments, Kevin?
Yeah, go ahead.
I want to reiterate what I said. She answered it, I felt, in a classy way. I had no problem with how she responded because people were asking the question, and her answers to me were just fine. I had no issue with her answers.
So they asked her about her gender identity, and this is from ESPN, from the ESPN.com body issue magazine that they did back in 2015. But here's what she said about her gender identity. She said, "I got called a boy all the time. Going into the bathroom, I still get shocked looks like, 'Are you supposed to be in here?' But I'm so used to it now. I'm just like, I'm a girl. I'm in the right bathroom. In China, it happens all the time.
Wait, what?
One time I went into, she said, I'm a girl. I'm in the right bathroom.
That's what I wanted to say.
In China, it happens all the time. One time I went into the bathroom there. A lady was so shocked that she was pushing me out. She was so hysterically shocked that I was in there. I couldn't do anything but laugh. I didn't even try to defend myself and tell her I was a girl. I ended up just going over to the men's room and went into one of the stalls. I even had to do that in the States a couple of times. I don't like labels, but gender roles are instilled in you as a kid. I was told to pick which one I wanted to be, masculine or feminine. I'm like, well, I kind of want to be both because that's who I am. I mean, sometimes I'm feminine, sometimes I'm emotional, and then sometimes you see me on the court and I'm hardcore, and then how I dress is masculine. If I put on something girly, I feel very uncomfortable. It feels like something I shouldn't be wearing. I wore a dress for my high school graduation and it sucked. My mom wanted me to wear a dress so bad. I forced a smile in a couple of photos for her, but I was most absolutely uncomfortable. Coming out to my parents, because she said she's a lesbian, helped. I gave myself little steps I would do, and each time I got good feedback or I didn't get any feedback, which was good because nobody really cared. Just little steps. Like in 9th grade, I decided I'm just going to dress how I want to dress. And I was like, man, this would have been so much easier if I just did it earlier. I think she's tremendously well-spoken. I think she's a wonderfully intelligent person. I think she's a hell of a basketball player, especially in college. She played at Baylor, and she was just a beast in college. She had a pretty good pro career, although, obviously I think her numbers are down a little bit because she spent so much time in the Russian gulag, that takes an effect on you physically.
Toll, yeah.
Yeah, it takes away some of your skills physically.
Although she can retrain those. I mean, she just gotta get stronger again.
Well, but she's older too, and it takes the body time to come back. I mean, not everybody can be like Tom and maintain the virile attitude of a 21-year-old man like Tom is as he's nearing 90. But I just,
thanks, pal.
I listen. I think she's a tremendous athlete. I think she's wonderfully smart. I think she's misguided on some of the things that she thinks and some of the anti-USA stuff that she follows specifically. But she got natural, God-given talent and ability, and
for sure.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think she's, a lot of people are all over Megan Rapinoe. Like when she missed that kick in her last game, and the Americans lost, and they got bumped from the World Cup because of it, and a lot of people talked a lot of smack about Megan Rapinoe. This is what you get. That's karma. You're horrible. Blah, blah, blah.
Hey, Kevin, there's more to that story though, bud. Right?
No, I know, but I'm just saying.
There was only 3 women on that team because there was as they called it, there was a campaign of intimidation trying to force all the women on that team to follow Megan's lead.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately there were only 3 that said, no, we're not going to, we're going to put our hand over our heart. We're going to sing the national anthem when we're out there. And they felt that all that pressure was coming from from Meghan to push them to adopt her political persuasion. So it caused a lot of disharmony and disunity on the team. And so I think that's why a lot of the people were like, that's what you get. You're on a team representing a nation. Act like it. That was, and so a lot of people felt that it was karma and that it was teaching. It was a teachable moment. But, you know, that's a lot of people's opinion. I hate to see that get left out of the equation. That's all.
No, I think it's fair. I mean, I think you could make an argument, Paul, you're going to hate this, but I think you could make an argument. There's 20 players on the women's national team. 3 of them don't support the agenda of supporting America. Now, again, I think they're right, but I think you could also make the argument a majority of the team feels the way that we feel, and you guys are the outliers. You know, it wasn't the other way around. It wasn't like Megan Rapinoe was one of 3 or 4 players that were like, you know, wanting to take a knee and tried to browbeat everybody else into it. Most of the women's national team was fully behind Rapinoe's stand. And I think you could make an argument for, look, you 3, I mean, you need to support your teammates. And I could see the argument. I'm not saying they should have, I'm just saying I could see the argument. But listen, Megan Rapinoe is one of the greatest female soccer players that's ever played the game. Sue Bird is one of the greatest women's basketball players that's ever played the game. And regardless of their political affiliation or their identification as lesbians, doesn't faze me. Like, I can recognize greatness in our athletes regardless. Remember, listen, Muhammad Ali refused to go fight in Vietnam and lost a big chunk of his fighting time because he wouldn't fight in Vietnam. And he took a moral stand that a lot of people had an issue with.
Let me ask you this, Kevin.
Yeah.
You're saying this stuff, which is all fine.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm curious, like, does it bother? So I don't look.
Go ahead.
I don't take this stuff personally, like you have insinuated.
Okay.
But I think that it's important to push back on some of these ideas, right? Like I said, there was a whole nother aspect of that story with the women's soccer team. But you talk about how Sue Bird is one of the greatest. Absolutely. Megan Rapinoe is one of the greatest. Absolutely. Right. I don't think you've heard anybody, let alone me or anybody else there in studio, suggest otherwise or try to take anything away from them on their career.
Not
right?
you or anybody in studio. I was just more speaking generically to the backlash and the social media comments and the you know, oh, look, you get what you deserve and all that kind of stuff.
You're probably right. I just don't see. No, I don't even want to say that you're probably right. I don't see much of that. I see people flipping Megan Rapinoe grief because they feel like she got her just desserts because of her attitude about playing on the U.S. women's team and her desire to force a political agenda on other players on the team. I think that a lot of people, and how can we tell them they don't have the right to feel that way? You know, what I don't see is, do you feel like a lot of people out there are taking something away from people like her and Sue Bird because they're gay or because they were great at women's sports? Because I don't think I've seen that. Have you seen it?
I've seen it on my social media. I subscribe to a lot of other pages and channels and things just because I want to have a pulse of what's kind of floating around. And there was a whole bunch of stuff. There was a lot of stuff online about Megan Rapinoe and it went from difference of opinion to personal attacks, you know, about her sexuality, about her stand, about her freedom of speech, about any of that. Right. And I just look, I mean, I think you can disagree with all of them. I don't have an issue with disagreement, but I hate when stuff gets personal. We talked about this a lot before on John says Megan Rapinoe got the Presidential Medal of Freedom. I'm not necessarily sure why she would have gotten that. I don't think athletes should be given stuff like that just because they're an athlete. You know, I mean,
because she was appealing to an agenda that was being pushed by the president at the time.
Fair, but I don't see it was valid to get that. I don't know why. Look, when Obama, I've mentioned this before. Frank Aquila, a good friend of the show, used to have a Facebook page for his book, Sarah Palin Out of Nowhere. And it was very much a place where a bunch of conservative people got together and talked about conservative thoughts, conservative plans, conservative goals, conservative platforms. Okay. The hatred for Michelle Obama on that page was awful. The attacks and the words against her were awful.
Yeah, there was a lot of out there stuff on that page.
The racial stuff was awful. She's a man was awful. Them posting doctored photos that made it look like she had a penis was awful. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm talking about. Right. Like, we can disagree. She's clearly a far left Democrat. We disagree with her policies. But the arguments now, and social media makes it possible because people can hide behind a keyboard. The social media makes it a lot easier now for people just to be crappy all the time and say that the lowest low blow shots to people that have nothing to do with the issue. That's why the thing with Brittany Griner, if she is, let's say she's trans. For me, this is my opinion, right? You have yours, I have mine. Let's say she's trans.
She's cleared it. Oh, just
no. But I'm saying
the way you say that.
It's a what if world here.
I'm just giving my opinion, right? Let's pretend she's trans. Let's go all the way to that side of the argument, right? If she's trans and nobody in her league cares, I don't care. Then maybe you don't want to call it the WNBA. Maybe you don't want to call it the women's NBA anymore. Maybe you want to call it the WTNBA, women and trans, whatever. But nobody that she's competing against has an issue with it. Nobody said anything.
Then I don't care either.
No, but nobody in the WNBA has spoke out about this at all.
Okay, listen. First, unless you just looked that up, how do you know? Because now you're going to look it up?
No. Do you know why I know?
I haven't looked
it up.
Because
I watch SportsCenter every night. If anybody had said anything about this, it would have made headlines somewhere.
Yeah.
Because it would have struck at the foundation of the league.
My point is that it just started coming up here over the last couple of months. But again, it's neither here nor there. Brittany Griner addressed it, right? What I'm saying, and my point to you was, it caused people to ask the questions, and they had a right to ask those questions. Now, again, you can sit back and say, I don't have. Yeah, go ahead.
Do you think people had the right to ask the questions? Let me ask you this question, Paul.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to use your daughter as an example. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So your daughter is out. She has whatever medical issue she has that Brittany Griner has, right? That causes her not to develop breasts, to grow. Maybe she's got too much testosterone naturally in her system, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think anybody has the right to come up to your daughter and ask her, are you really a girl?
You're going to go that direction on this.
No, I'm asking you, but I'm asking you.
I'm telling you, I'm going to tell you that I take the time to explain to my daughter that nothing in this world is fair or even or equal, even if it appears so. And like Brittany said, growing up, she got asked that a lot and still does.
I would interject something into this though. There's a difference between Paul's daughter in this scenario and Brittany Griner. Let's assume they're the same age and all that, and make it as even as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Brittany Griner is a public figure making money off being famous.
Hold on. Okay, so let's say Paul's daughter in this scenario is a freshman in high school and wants to play on the women's basketball team.
She's still just a kid in high school.
But again,
okay. So I mean, if we're making if we're making Brittany Griner also the same, she's also going to be a freshman in high school and all that. And at that point, who cares?
I just don't believe
it's just a kid.
I just don't believe anybody has the right to ask anybody anything like that. Like that, just to me sounds to be so past a question.
I don't even know. I don't even understand what it is that you're thinking people don't have a right to ask.
I don't
put it
think,
into words. Specifically, what are you saying people don't have a right to ask?
Anybody asking any questions about anybody's gender based on how they look is off limits.
Okay, that's
who cares if she doesn't have boobs? Who cares if she doesn't have boobs?
That's how you feel. I don't feel that way.
I know.
Especially when you're talking about a paid professional sports person.
If it's someone in the public making money at the behest of public attendance, I think the public's got some leeway there to ask some questions. I mean, who really cares? Because me as a sports fan, I'm going to go enjoy the game, not the the fact that a athlete does or does not have some anomaly in their life. I mean, who cares? But because she's a public figure and because she gets money from attendance of lots and lots of people going to games, I think the public gets to ask a few questions.
I think.
Well, and again, you can't escape. You cannot escape the fact that we are living in a world where you have an entire political persuasion that are pushing that agenda. And you can't sit there and say that they're not. And you can't sit there and say that Brittany Griner herself is not a part of that political persuasion pushing
By
that
her-
agenda, because she is. That's the whole. That was the whole.
She is based on what?
Because she sat there making a big deal about how she's not a fan of America and stuff like that. She's part of a left-leaning agenda that exists all over, right? So we live in a world where half this country thinks it's okay for a dude to decide to change his name to Leah Thomas to swim for, compete, and win the national championship in college, right? We are living in a world where a segment of our society is pushing that. So I'm fine with you feeling that nobody should ask it, but and this is going to sound like it's on you, and it's not. But I don't care if anybody has a problem with me asking it, because I'm going to continue to ask it, because I don't think it's appropriate for a man to play in a women's sports, even post-op transsexual.
I
don't
agree.
think it's right.
I agree with you on that. You and I are on the same page with that. I just, at what point does it go from, I don't think that men should be playing in women's sports, transgender men should be playing in women's sports. At what point does it go from that to, I have the right to inquire about with them? Like, shouldn't we have faith that the league knows what they're doing? That the league is enforcing its policies and processes? Like,
Yeah, that's a great question.
That
I don't
the other
disagree with that
athletes
question, but that's a different question than what you asked before, right?
Well, no, but
Because
I mean,
what
if
you
the
were
league
asking
hasn't come
before
out and
was-
said, she's trans or
Mhm.
or anything, then shouldn't we leave it alone? Like,
Well, college, the NCAA didn't come out and announce that Leah Thomas was formerly a man. Those women swimmers in the pool had to figure it out when he walked in naked. So no, I think that there's a lot of people with that kind of agenda that are not going to be prone to offering up that information.
Okay. Well, we'll disagree. That's okay. That's why we're friends. We can disagree on things.
Mostly. Now I'm going to kill you.
Probably. No, listen, I had a family member that told my youngest daughter that she wasn't technically black because her mom's white.
What?
So her biological dad is black, her mom is white, right? And I nearly killed him.
Wow.
I nearly killed him. Like I literally slammed him up against a tree in the backyard of the old house, and I nearly killed him.
Yeah,
but that's been a huge problem for a long time in the African American community. If
Yeah.
you go back, I mean, I actually just watched an episode of the Phil Donahue show from the 80s, and that was the very issue that they were talking about, was about how people of color are so hard on other people of color, especially. You're not black enough, you're mulatto, your skin isn't dark, things like that. You don't have enough melanin, all that kind of stuff. They are really hard on each other. I don't even know where that comes from. I can't wrap my brain around that. But
I'm not a big fan of Mariah Carey, but if you ever get a chance to read about Mariah Carey's experiences growing up, it's one of the things she talked about a lot was how isolated she felt as being a mixed race woman growing up, because she felt she didn't fit in with the black kids and she didn't fit in with the white kids. And there was a lot of what's that word?
Ostracized.
Ostracization. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. A lot of ostracization that she felt growing up. And I think it's a very real thing, and I think the black community is really, if you talk to some African-American women about black guys that date white women, there's some anger there. There's some backlash there.
It's not just in the U.S. though. If you listen to some of Trevor Noah's really early stand-up, he was, he grew up in South Africa during apartheid to a black woman and a white man, and it was against the law. And some of his comedy is based around that. Some of his really, really early comedy is based around it, and it's pretty funny, but it really tells a story.
Hey
I
guys,
would love
I'm gonna
to.
Kevin. I don't mean to
Yeah.
interrupt, dude, but I'm gonna sign off because I need to go take some ibuprofen. So I love you all, and I will see you guys on Wednesday. Okay?
Hey, Paul, before you leave, one favor.
Yes.
Do you still
Yes.
speak with our friends across the pond? You still speak with
Our
that
friends.
lady across the pond?
Our
That
friend
that does the British voice for us on the intro?
Oh yeah.
I would
Yes.
love to get somebody from England on to talk about this question. I'm curious how different race is handled in other developed nations.
I think
as
it's
it
a great
is
question.
as it is handled here.
I think it's a great question.
I think we get very lost in how we think of things American in our culture.
Yeah, we are very American. That's for sure.
Yeah. I would
I'll
love to.
reach out to her tomorrow. I'll reach
Okay,
out
thanks,
to her
buddy.
tomorrow.
Hey, feel
All right.
better, will
Night,
ya?
guys?
Take care.
And quit smacking yourself on the head to get out of the show 10 minutes early, little bastard.
Yeah. All right. I'll talk to you
Take care
guys
of your
later. I'll
noggin,
see you
buddy.
Wednesday.
All right, don't
bye.
fall down a flight of stairs. Love you. Call me if you need me. He's gone. All right. Well, damn it, I wanted Paul to have an opportunity to talk about his anal sex fetish or whatever he wanted to get
Anyways,
into.
moving back to that, I did want to say that I have a family member in the same category as your daughter.
Yeah.
And everything is fine within the African American community for her until they see her mother. And then it becomes a problem.
Yeah.
When she was a child, now nobody wants to cross her. So she's developed a very, very professional but tough exterior. And so
That's my brother-in-law.
Yeah.
So F-bombs. Heather is the only white member of her family.
Oh.
Yeah.
Paul will mock me for this. Robert might too. Robert's in the chat. Hello, Robert. And I'm gonna get to I'll get to some of the comments in the chat in a minute. White guilt is such a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know a lot of people. No such thing as white guilt. That's no bad. There is such a thing as white guilt. It really does exist, and I don't think I believed that as much until I became a father to a mixed race daughter.
Yeah.
Right. And it is something that I was very ignorant to when she was a baby, and I was just hanging out with her, filling the role. And as I got more and more involved in her life and did more and more things with her, I began to see more and more things that made me attuned to it.
Mm-hmm.
The people that would stare at us in Safeway when she was a baby,
Mhm.
you know, and again, this is before I lost weight. So I'm a, 365-pound guy, shaved head, walking through the aisle, holding a little black girl's hand. And she's calling me daddy in the store, and people would stare. And I always hoped that she never was attuned to it. I just played it off like it never happened until she was a little bit older and asked me, Dad, why are these people staring at us?
Yeah.
And then it was a conversation you'd had to have,
Mhm.
There is such thing as white guilt. Now, what you do with it and how it interjects itself in policy and all that other stuff is a whole different question. But as I am out with her and around her and interact with her, and worry about her, there is very much a portion of that etches itself into my life and what I think. And I did have the conversation when you get pulled over by a cop. This is how you act. Now it's not a conversation I ever had with my sons.
Oh, you didn't?
No, because
I did with mine.
because my sons are. I'm not worried about how they're going to react with a cop when they get pulled over. One of them wants to be a cop. I'm not worried about it. But with her, not only is she responsible for herself,
Right.
she's responsible for anybody else that's in the car.
Mhm.
And history, news, video shows us that for whatever reason, if you act a fool and you're a black kid, black male specifically,
Yep.
you have a higher risk of getting shot.
Mhm.
You just do.
Or tased.
Or beat, or arrest, or whatever. So the conversation I had with her, especially she just got her driver's license, how you act in the car when a cop pulls you over is on you. And how other people in the car act when they're
Is
with you
on
and you're
you.
driving is on you.
Yep.
So your hands are on the steering wheel when they walk up to that. You're going to have that conversation with your friends in the car. Not because I think you or your friends are going to do anything wrong, but let's keep things above board so nothing happens.
Yep.
And it sucks, but that's a conversation you have. I didn't have it with my other daughter. I didn't have it with my son, but I had it with her.
Mhm.
Because it's just, I've seen enough stories on the news
Yep.
that it's still a rarity, but I don't want that rarity to happen to my daughter
Right.
or somebody with her.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Robert says he had that conversation with all three of their sons, and that's fine. I just never felt I had to have with the boys or my other daughter. Like I knew that they knew what to do.
Mm-hmm.
I never felt like I had to tell them have both hands on the steering wheel when the cop comes up.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be digging around in your glove box looking for your registration when the cop walks up.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I felt like I had to have that conversation with her just to be a little more careful.
Yeah.
And whatever. What are the actual stats on that? Robert Parker asked. Robert, I don't have time to get the stats for the end of the show, but I will tell you that if you look at so there's two ways to view the stats, right? You can look at the percentages of shootings that involve police shootings that involve whites versus African Americans versus Hispanic. And if you look at the numbers show that more whites are shot by cops every year. That's a fact. However,
because there's more white people in the country.
Consistently more. The population of African Americans in this country sits somewhere in the neighborhood of 13 to 15%. The population of whites in this country is somewhere around 66%. So it's considerably high. If you look at the numbers per capita, though, you are more than twice as likely to be shot if you're an African American by police than if you're white per capita. So it depends how you look at the numbers. And Robert, I can pull the numbers up and send them to you if you want, but those exist out there. Now, there are some reasons I think that lend themselves to that, right? African Americans tend to live in the inner cities and in urban areas where crime rates are higher. Violence against police is more likely. So, I mean, there's other extrapolating factors that happen in the inner cities that will lend itself to that. But I cannot, maybe you can, I cannot absolve completely the fact that we have more than twice as likely rate of African Americans being shot by police than whites. That has to do with policing. That has to do with the police's experiences in the inner city, which you could not pay me to be a cop in poor areas of urban areas. I just wouldn't do it. I'm too chicken.
No Detroit for you?
There's a lot of fact. No way at all. Yeah, no Detroit for me. So Robert, the stats are easy to attain. The show ends in 2.5 minutes.
Now there's also especially like you were saying, the inner city and stuff, there are some areas where culturally speaking with, young urban black men, there is a expectation of behavior when stopped by the police, and that behavior does not help the situation.
Exactly. And there is an attitude in many urban communities that the police are not to be trusted. You are not to stop for them. They will pin a jacket on you no matter what. They will beat you. They will kill you. So we have installed in our inner cities this fear of the police regardless of situation, right? Like there are young black men being pulled over in LA that the minute a cop gets behind them, they're automatically fearful that even if they've done nothing wrong, something bad's going to happen to them. And that does not solve the issue, right? I mean, they're more likely to run. They're more likely to be disrespectful. They're more likely to be defensive, all of those things that will bring attention back to them. So I don't blame police 100%. There are societal factors that play into this. There's cultural factors in the black communities that play into this. But the numbers are the numbers, right? I mean, the numbers are the numbers when it comes to these. Anyway, Robert, I'll get you the numbers, but I can't do it before the show ends. All right, we're going to wrap up on AM. We're going to wrap up briefly on Facebook right after we get back. We won't be long tonight. And it's been Outlaw Radio. For those of you on AM, join us at 7 o'clock on Wednesday. Paul should be back in studio. We might have a guest on the show about a really cool new business that's opened. I'm not going to say anything more than that because they haven't completely confirmed, but we'll talk about that and more. AM, good night. Facebook, stay there. All right, Outlaw Radio. So I did find one source. It's Statista.com. I use them a lot in research when I was getting my degree, so I have a lot of faith in the validity of their site. I've done some vetting of them just to make sure they're not slanted or whatever. So the rate of police shootings from 2015 until July of 23 by ethnicity. Okay. So whites, 2.3 per million. Okay. So
is that nationwide?
That's nationwide. 2.3 per million shootings of police by white people. Shooting of white people by police. Okay. Hispanic, 2.5. Pretty close to the same per capita. That's what you'd expect to find, right? You'd expect for each race to be about the same if all things were equal. Okay. African Americans, 5.8.
Well,
more than double. Now, again, there's a whole bunch of places you can find these numbers. There's some crime lab stuff that's been released out of the federal government from the DOJ under multiple administrations, including Republican administrations, that back this up. You find it a whole bunch of places. I just found this really quick for Robert. I posted it in the chat. Again, I'm in no way blaming police for every factor of this, right? We're on Facebook. There are some shitty people that are policemen that shouldn't be, but I would guess it's less than 5%.
Every job has that, right?
Well, I mean, every job at my job.
Yeah,
shitty people
every
that
job
work
has a percentage of just shit employees, and
the shitty IRS employees, shitty contractors, shitty accountants, shitty web designers, shitty distillery owners. There are no shitty escape room employees though.
None at all.
No, because I helped hire them, so I'm making sure I'm picking the non-shitty ones. Anyway, so again, less than 5%, I would think, are shitty human beings that are cops. The problem is when a cop is a shitty human being and does something extremely crappy.
It's super headlines,
super visual, right? And so I listen. There's things that can be done. Like I am all for making people live in the communities in which they serve.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like if you're gonna be walking a beat in a city, you should live in that city. You shouldn't live an hour away and drive into work every day. You shouldn't. Like you need to know the people and experience what they're experiencing and know what it's like. I think that there needs to be civilian oversight and review of police departments. When there's an accusation made against a police officer, it should not go to his bosses.
No, it shouldn't go anywhere in the city government.
No, it should go to a civilian oversight board.
Yep.
In another city.
No, I would say the same city.
In another city.
So the mayor and city council aren't considered the oversight.
No, because the mayor appoints the chief of police, right? So
people elected their mayor,
yeah,
right?
and it's spider webs, right? So I want it to be external. I think if you're in Port Orchard and there's a police shooting, the civilian oversight board should be Paulsbo.
No,
because I don't want there to be any connection. I want there to be as little connection as possible between the police officer who's walking the beat in the city he lives in.
Right.
Now he's meeting people. Now I don't want everybody in that city who has a good feeling about Officer Friendly to be biased because he's been there. And what happens if they work against him and he gets acquitted? Is he going to act out against our business? Is he going to target my bar for DUI pullovers? Like, you know what I mean? I want there to be a wall between the two.
Okay.
Civilian oversight board, they get access to everything, but not in that community. Right? So it can be as impartial as possible.
So Seattle should be overseen by, Richland.
Spokane.
No, Seattle should be overseen by Bellingham and vice versa.
Bellingham.
Tacoma by Mount Vernon. Everett by Olympia. Vancouver by Bremerton.
And Forks will be overseen by.
But
no one lives in
Shores.
Forks will be overseen by Astoria,
Gorst.
Oregon.
Gorst.
Yeah, Gorst. Yeah, the Gorst Police Department consists of that one homeless guy that just walks up and down the streets and says, "Slow down."
So it's interesting as you talk through this, though. Like we're seeing. I don't know if you saw in the news how in DC they're like there's a store. They're like crime is so rampant. The grocery store is like we just can't keep it up. They lock up the frozen food. They're to the point where they're going to close out. And then they got, they're kind of a rally and people are like, I got it queued up here to play, but they're basically saying, hey, citizens, stop stealing from the store. The store's going to leave.
Mm-hmm.
There's a part of me, maybe that liberty-oriented part of me that's like, isn't this going to be just the natural consequence of, you let your community get like this.
Yeah, let free market happen.
You got to deal with the consequence.
Yeah.
Well, the old people are going to starve. Well, maybe the old people need to move.
But this was
let free market happen.
This was my issue in Missouri when what was his name?
Missouri
in St. Louis. Michael
Brown.
Michael Brown, yeah. When Michael Brown got killed in St. Louis by what was the dude's name? You know what I'm talking about. The
the guy, the dude.
Darren Wilson in Ferguson, Missouri. Thank you. It wasn't St. Louis, Ferguson. So when that happened, Michael Brown was killed in Ferguson. They rioted and they burned their city down. And all I can think to myself is, I get the rage. Like, I totally understand. But you're hurting yourselves. You're hurting your neighbors. You're hurting the other people that live there. The businesses that got torched were minority-owned businesses in that part of town. That was the quote-unquote African-American section of town, right? So when you're burning down the restaurants and the bars and the dry cleaners and all of that stuff, who are you hurting? You're not hurting white America, who your anger is directed towards. You're hurting your neighbor that has been running that little corner grocery store for the last 20 years. Their life is built into that. That's how they pay their bills. And now you just torch their building to the ground because you're pissed off at the white guy.
And they serve your community.
Yeah.
They provide a service.
They provide jobs to other low-income people in the community that need to work. Now you just put them out of work. You've deepened the poverty in your neck of the woods because you're pissed off at the white guy who doesn't live in your neck of the woods.
We saw that with Chop and Chaz too.
Yeah, no, exactly.
And even if we don't even have to go to St. Louis for it.
And even if it is a white-owned business, let's say it's Wendy's and it's owned by a bunch of rich white guys that live out of town. Who are they employing? People that live in your neighborhood.
Who's going to commute to work at Wendy's?
Right. And who's going to commute to work for minimum wage? I mean, in your anger, you've hurt your own community. And there is I'm going to get blasted for this. I'm waiting for Jolly to check out the feed. There was a lack of foresight in angry African-American communities about what the long-term impacts are about what they're doing in protest. Like, I get the rage. The rage makes perfect sense to me. And it's not even African-American communities. It's Portland as well, right? Which is still predominantly white. Like, in these angry communities, let's not even make it racial. In these angry communities, there's a lack of foresight that what you're doing hurts your community in the long run. How many places, all the Walmarts left Portland. Every single Walmart left Portland. How many people does the average Walmart employ? 70? 100?
A few.
You just gave up 70 jobs minimum?
Well, how many Walmarts left Portland?
4 of them.
Okay, that's like 280 people then.
But I'm just saying, you just gave up these jobs in your community because your community can't behave right, and they can't respect, and they can't not steal, and they can't not go to violence, and those communities turn a blind eye to it a lot because they want to talk to the cops because they don't trust them. So you've created this environment where now businesses can't work and businesses leave, and then you got more poor people in your communities. And if you think that shit's not coming to Seattle, it's on its way, folks.
It's already here.
Well, it's going to be worse when Amazon finally has enough and leaves, when the rest of Boeing leaves, when Travelocity leaves if they haven't already left, when what's the other travel one? Expedia is on their way out.
Well, that's different stuff. I mean, that's government policy and taxation.
But it's the whole scope of things, right?
Yeah.
Businesses leave, people lose jobs, poverty increases, violence increases, more jobs leave because violence is bad. Taxes are raised to make up for the fact that we don't have the revenue coming in because businesses left and people got unemployed, but we still need to have social safety nets. So now we got to raise taxes to cover for all these programs that we need to have that we can't afford under the old tax base because so many people left and lost their jobs. Tax rates go up, people move out, businesses leave. You created a cycle. That's how we talked about this on Wednesday. That's how the fuck Detroit happened.
Yeah.
It cycled and cycled and cycled and cycled until everybody was like, fuck it, I'm out of Detroit. And Detroit became a cesspool with more abandoned properties and house properties. And if you want to buy a cheap house for $1,000 right now, you can in parts of Detroit. Yeah. There's a reason why nobody's buying it.
I wonder, you say there's a need, and I understand why you would, for safety nets, but does those safety nets maybe produce a byproduct of there's no drive to take care of yourself? You're like, I have the safety net.
Keep in mind, I'm not saying that there's a need for them. I'm saying that the municipalities feel that there's a need because now they've created a system where so many people need help that they feel like they got to fill the void. or the state feels like they have to fill the void, and so they have a need. I
mean, everything has consequences. I mean, we see
Right.
it right now in our housing market. I think of several people I know that they own properties.
Mhm.
They deliberately make their houses nicer, so they're higher priced because they don't want to deal with lower income tenants.
Oh, hold on.
Because they come with problems.
I just
frequently.
remodeled
Not
a
all,
house. I
but
just
some.
remodeled a house for my nephew for his trust, and that's exactly what I did. I made sure we put extra finishes in there. I made sure we had high end appliances. I made sure that we had everything on that place was high end, so I could charge a higher price because I wanted to get somebody from the Navy in there. Now I didn't wind up renting to somebody in the Navy, but somebody with a really good job in Seattle. But I didn't want to rent to somebody who could only afford $1,700-$1,800 a month. I wanted to rent to somebody who could afford $2,300-$2,500 a month, because that meant they had a better income, and that meant I had to worry about it less.
And then everyone complained, there's no affordable housing. We need to build more affordable housing.
I give a shit.
But
my
stop
job
taking down the trees. But we need more.
My
pick
job.
one.
My job is to run the trust in the most successful way possible that better guards his money.
You mean
the best way to guard it? Yep, the best way to guard his money was to charge a little bit more, so I didn't have to spend a whole bunch of money evicting somebody later. So, all right, Philip, parting shots. Boss Baby keeps rolling her eyes at me every time I talk about something new because she wants to get out of here. So, do you have parting shots, Philip?
No, just fun night.
Good to see you.
Technology is working. Even Paul came through beautifully, really.
I was worried about his internet out there in bumfucked Egypt where he lives. So I'm glad that it worked. I'm sorry that he had to get a concussion for us to test it, but yeah, I feel bad for the guy. Boss Baby, do you have parting shots?
My mic doesn't work.
Do you want to use mine?
Nope.
Okay. Lori, parting shots.
Be careful of the air quality because of the fires.
I was going to ask about the Tom. Let me ask you a question just really quick.
Yes.
Is the poor air quality because of all the wildfires?
Yes.
Or no, maybe not. Or did you and Dennis come across some money and you just been lighting up for the last couple of days?
No, nothing that. I mean, I had a pretty good weekend this past weekend for the business, but the business can't really afford that kind of behavior right now. So no, nothing like that.
No, nothing like that.
It was not Dennis and I do think it's probably Medicine Lake on fire in Spokane.
Yeah. I'm hoping they're
Which
going to
is
tell us
sad.
tomorrow we don't have to come into the office on Tuesday so we can stay out of the poor air quality. I mean, I doubt that. I think I'll have to go to the office Tuesday, but I'm hoping not to. I will say this, the wildfires are awful, but the sunsets are gorgeous.
Oh man,
I mean-
the sunset on the way down the hill to the station tonight was so pretty.
Yeah, it was so, the moon was hot pink and it was just,
Yeah.
it was gorgeous. Yeah. Oh, we're showing, what are those? Oh, that's the air quality map.
Air quality from Davis weather stations and air quality meters. I got.
Wait, there's one that's green down south. Where's it green at?
That's because someone didn't update something.
Where's that at?
Madrona Hill.
That's south of Tacoma.
Yeah, maybe he's worried the air was so bad outside he took a sensor indoors to keep it safe.
Maybe. Or, that's down at the bottom of the sound. Maybe there's enough of a trough coming through there.
Yeah, but there's a bunch more red further south from that.
I know you haven't been to my house, but I see the water from I can't see the water from my house right now. And Lori knows how bad of a deal that is. Like, what? It's like I could throw a rock and hit the water and I can't see it.
And there's
from
the
my
temperatures.
Yeah, where I live,
There's
I
a
have
temperature at Mom's house.
I have a nice view across
house?
whatever bay that is, where Gorst is, Gorst Bay or whatever.
That'll be Sinclair Inlet.
That's Sinclair
Is that
Inlet.
Is it Sinclair Inlet that far down where Gorst is?
Yes, the whole thing is
Yeah.
the Sinclair
Okay,
Inlet.
so I have a view of that part of Sinclair Inlet down by Gorst, and
So do I.
And normally I can see. Can you see it? Can you see the water from your place?
From my bathroom window.
So normally I
One
can see the
window.
water and I can see the hills in the side and the house at the top of the hills.
Oh, you can't see
I
anything.
couldn't know.
Yeah,
No,
it
it's-
was bad driving.
I feel really bad for people with respiratory issues. It's
pretty rough.
Yeah. I'm not going to the Y right now because of it. I just don't feel like overexerting myself.
Wait, you're going to the Y?
Yeah.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah, we're going to the gun show. Oh, I'm not on
I went
camera.
to the Y this morning.
Did you?
Yeah.
I'm not going to the Y right now.
And
You're
then
on camera. You're just
they had
small.
the code brown, so we had to leave the pool and
Oh,
shower appropriately.
Did some kid shit in the pool?
Yes.
I love that.
And it
That's
was
great.
not solid.
Oh.
So
I think they need a pool. Well, you didn't get out of all the pools, right?
Everybody had to get out.
All the pools?
Yeah,
Yeah.
except
Even
for
the
the
lap
hot
pools?
tub and the lap pool.
Probably because they have.
Okay, so
they
But
have-
the
because-
ones that are conjoined.
They're
yeah.
probably
have
all
linked
integrated
water
No,
plumbing.
that makes sense. But I know the lap pool is a different circular system for the water
Mhm.
filtration because the lap pool is always like fucking 20 degrees cooler than the other pools.
It's because when you swim laps, you don't want to warm. You overheat.
You don't want a warm pool.
Yeah, well, I think it's fucking stupid.
You know,
Lap
I-
pools for Christ's sakes.
when I was an apprentice for my electrical work, it was for a pool and spa company.
Yeah.
So we used to build in-ground pools and spas and stuff.
Nice.
So my Fridays during the summer, I was the pool boy. I ran all over the county, like cleaning pools and stuff.
That's his new nickname, Black Tom the Pool Boy.
Yeah,
All right.
and you have no idea how disgusting it is to clean up a code brown.
Just remember,
Oh.
it should be called the ool.
Yeah.
You don't need pee in the pool.
Yeah, I don't mind a little pee in the pool, but the code brown, no, thank you.
Code brown.
There's so much chlorine in the Wise pool
No,
that you could
Not
probably
enough.
poop in there and it would
not
it would be,
enough. Not today.
no.
So it actually, we can get into the chemistry of that if you want. If you smell
Not
the
right
pool,
now.
it's
No.
not good.
No. All right. Lori, any other parting shots?
Just be safe out there. Get ready for school. So everybody needs to be careful.
Oh my God, school is
Yeah,
my
school's
daughter goes
starting
back to
soon.
school a week from Wednesday.
What?
Yeah, they're starting in August.
What?
She goes to Bremerton School District. They start August 30th this year.
Why?
I don't
What
fucking
is that
know.
point?
I
I
don't
mean, you got
know.
a 3-day weekend the first
Yeah,
weekend.
you go to school for 2.5 days because Wednesday's a half day
Right.
in the Bremerton School District. You do
Right.
2.5 days and you get a 3-day weekend. What the fuck is that? Just wait and start at the day after Memorial or the Wednesday
Exactly.
after Labor Day weekend. Like, what are you doing?
I agree.
Whatever. That's why I'm not in charge. Tom, parting shots.
Don't poop in the pool.
Amen. Preach.
Okay, we already talked about that.
That's it. That's all I got.
Can people poop in Black Ring Spirits?
I will let you have a key to the restroom so that you can poop in the
Appropriately.
place.
Good man. Listen, I just want to quickly thank Dennis for allowing me to come out and be a part of the Town Square Mall night thing that they did
Yeah, it
last
was
night.
fun.
I'm
Some
sorry,
cool
I
vendors
missed
down
it.
here. Not a lot of people turned out. I mean, I really want people to come out and support this and support local vendors and stuff, and come out and see their wares and what they're doing. We did a little karaoke last night, and
Yeah.
a couple of the stores had the Seahawk game on, so you could follow what was going on. Fuck you,
Mhm.
Dallas. And it was a good time. I think Boss Baby had a good time last night, right?
I know nothing.
You didn't have fun at Town
Sure
Square
she
Nights?
did.
Sure she did.
I know nothing.
Okay.
How is that?
Lori had a good time. Lori sang. If you want to see a clip of her singing, go to the Outlaw Radio Network Facebook page.
Don't just pretend you didn't.
Tom
Forget
wasn't
about it.
there. Tom wasn't there, which made the event more enjoyable.
Yeah.
Tom
And,
was
uh,
busy selling.
Excuses. The entire reason I agreed to do that is Tom agreed to sing. And
I
it didn't
wanted
fucking
to,
show.
so I even had a song picked out and everything.
Then Philip, yell for Dennis.
Dennis.
Dennis! Dennis, you did not sing Humpty Dance last night, and quite frankly, I'm pissed off about it.
Well, the show got over at 11 o'clock, and it's now way after 11, and I'm really pissed off about it. I want to go home.
Why didn't you just answer this
Your
question?
love affair with your own voice has to end at some point.
Answer this question, then I'm done. Why did you not sing Humpty Dance?
It just never came up. I was tempted to bring it up a couple of times, but
I was waiting for that line. I once got busy in a Burger King bathroom. And,
yeah, I
you
was
didn't.
distracted by I don't know. I think she was like 8 or 9 year old that was down there infatuated with becoming a DJ.
Oh, yeah, you were getting free DJ lessons last night.
I was.
All right, my parting shot is as follows. Please quit being douchebags to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't care if you agree with each other or not. I don't care if you like their lifestyle or their religion or their gender or their preferred pronoun or their sexuality.
If I identify as trans fat, does that mean I'm deep fried?
Yes. Let's stop being douchebags to each other, especially those of you who are being douchebags to people in the name of your God.
Yeah, be the
That
douche.
is totally not what your God would advocate for you to do. So let's just be nice to each other. And if worse comes to worse and you see somebody different than you, just walk up and give them a hug.
No, don't touch me.
Just walk up and give them a hug.
Don't touch
If you see Boss Baby in public, just walk up and give her a hug. If you see Dennis
Don't
in
touch
public,
her unless you have a death wish.
if you see Dennis in public, walk up, give him a hug, and cup his butt.
in all seriousness, though, we ran into someone that is a frequent flyer at a local grocery store my wife works at. And she's like, be careful. This person was just walking by. Can we use your restroom? Like 20 minutes later, we're like checking the restroom to make sure we're not got drug paraphernalia or something going on there. Cause we want to be kind to people, but man, it's rough when
be kind to people every day.
Yeah.
Every day.
It's rough.
And by the way, if you're a business and you expect me to come spend money and you don't have a bathroom that I can piss in if I really got to go, I will not shop at your business.
So which gas stations do you not shop at?
If I know they don't have a public restroom, I won't go. Well, some of them you don't have a choice. Like if they just have the payment kiosk booth thing, there's like the Chevron or whatever it is on Kitsap Way right next to Subway. There's no bathroom there to use.
That's a Shell.
Whatever the
the Chevron down the road used to, and then they were like not allowing, and I'm like, so I just don't shop there.
Yeah, I
don't shop at the one in Gorse. I don't shop at the one off of
I don't either.
Tremont, but I do go to the Chevron off of Sedgwick.
Yeah, I will too. All right. That's it. You guys have a great night. Thanks for supporting the show. We love you. If you enjoyed the show, be a friend, tell a friend. If not, pretend this never happened. Paul's parting shot was that he has a crush on Brittany Griner and a naked picture of her hanging over his bed. Good night, everybody. Outlaw Radio.
.com.
Stop! God!